Integrated Information Theory. IIT is a fascinating and ambitious attempt to scientifically explain consciousness, a phenomenon that has puzzled philosophers and scientists for centuries. Developed by neuroscientist Giulio Tononi in the early 2000s, IIT offers a framework for understanding how and why certain systems, like the human brain, are conscious while others, like a rock or a computer, are not. At its core, IIT is built around the idea that consciousness arises from the way information is integrated within a system. According to the theory, a system is conscious if it has a high degree of integrated information, meaning that its parts work together in a unified way to process information. This integration is what gives rise to the subjective experience of consciousnness, the what it's like to be aware and have thoughts, sensations, and feelings. One of the key concepts in IIT is the notion of phi, a mathematical measure that quantifies the amount of integrated information in a system. The higher the phi value, the more conscious the system is. For example, the human brain, with its billions of interconnected neurons, has a very high phi value, indicating a high level of consciousness. In contrast, a simple computer or a single neuron has a low phi value, meaning it lacks the complex integration necessary for consciousness. To understand why this integration matters, IIT asks us to consider the difference between a system where parts act independently versus a system where parts are highly interconnected. In a simple system where parts function in isolation, there's no unified experience, no whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. However, in a system where parts are deeply interconnected, such as the human brain, the information is processed in a way that creates a unified experience. This unified experience is what we perceive as consciousness. IIT also distinguishes itself from other theories of consciousness by emphasizing that consciousness is not just about the amount of information a system processes, but how that information is structured and integrated. For instance, a computer can process vast amounts of data, but because its components don't integrate this information in a way that creates a unified whole, it remains non-conscious. This is a crucial point that sets IIT apart from theories that equate consciousness with information processing alone. Another interesting aspect of IIT is that it's not just a theory about human consciousness. It's a general theory that can, in principle, be applied to any system, biological or artificial. This means that IIT offers a framework for understanding consciousness in a wide range of contexts, from the human brain to potential forms of artificial intelligence. By calculating the phi value of different systems, IIT aims to predict which systems are conscious and to what degree. As we explore IIT further, we'll delve into the science behind it, looking at how researchers measure integrated information and what this means for our understanding of consciousness. We'll also consider the philosophical implications of IIT and the challenges it faces as a theory. But for now, it's clear that IIT offers a bold and intriguing approach to one of the most enduring mysteries of existence: consciousness. Integrated Information Theory at its core. Concept of consciousness arising from the integration of information within a system. Now, let's dive deeper into the science behind IIT, exploring how it attempts to quantify consciousness and the significance of the measure known as phi. At the heart of IIT is the idea that consciousness can be quantified by measuring how much information is integrated within a system. This is where phi comes into play. Phi represents the degree of integration within a system, essentially quantifying how much more the system is than just the sum of its parts. In practical terms, a phi measures how interconnected and interdependent the components of a system are when it comes to processing information. To understand how phi works, consider a simple example: a digital camera. A camera processes vast amounts of information: light, color, shapes, but its individual pixels function independently. Each pixel responds to light on its own, without integrating this information into a unified experience. As a result, the phi value for a digital camera is extremely low, indicating that it lacks the integrated information necessary for consciousness. In contrast, consider the human brain. The brain is composed of billions of neurons, each connected to thousands of others, forming an incredibly complex and interconnected network. When information is processed by the brain, it is not done in isolation. Instead, different parts of the brain work together, integrating information in a highly coordinated way that creates a unified conscious experience. This high level of integration gives the brain a much higher phi value, reflecting the richness and complexity of human consciousness. To calculate phi, researchers use complex mathematical models that analyze how information flows and integrates within a system. These models assess various factors, such as how different parts of the system interact, how much information is shared, and how the removal of certain connections affects the overall integration. The result is a numerical value that represents the level of consciousness within the system. The higher the phi, the greater the consciousness. One of the strengths of IIT is its ability to apply this measure across different types of systems, from biological organisms to potential artificial intelligences. For example, researchers can use IIT to compare the consciousness levels of different animals by calculating the phi of their nervous systems. A mouse, with its simpler brain, would have a lower phi value than a human, indicating a lower level of consciousness. Similarly, if we were to design a highly advanced AI with a complex integrated network, IIT could theoretically be used to determine whether this AI possesses some form of consciousness and to what extent. However, the application of IIT is not without challenges. Measuring phi in real-world systems is an incredibly complex task, particularly when it comes to living organisms. The human brain, for instance, is so intricate that accurately calculating its phi value is a monumental challenge, requiring detailed knowledge of its structure and function. Moreover, the theory assumes that consciousness is directly related to information integration, which remains a hypothesis that is still being tested and debated within the scientific community. Despite these challenges, IIT has sparked a considerable interest and research in the field of neuroscience. It offers a concrete, testable framework for exploring consciousness, something that many other theories struggle to provide. By focusing on the measurable aspects of information processing, IIT bridges the gap between the philosophical questions of what consciousness is and the scientific inquiry into how it works. As we explore further, we'll consider the philosophical implications of IIT, particularly how it reshapes our understanding of consciousness and its potential applications in artificial intelligence and other fields. We'll also look at the criticisms and limitations of the theory, providing a balanced view of its strengths and weaknesses. As we delve into the philosophical implications of integrated information theory, IIT, it's clear that the theory challenges and expands our understanding of consciousness in profound ways. By suggesting that consciousness is directly tied to the integration of information within a system, IIT offers a fresh perspective on what it means to be conscious and forces us to reconsider long-held assumptions about the nature of the mind. One of the most intriguing implications of IIT is its potential to redefine the boundaries of consciousness. Traditional views often limit consciousness to humans and perhaps a few other animals, based on complex behaviors and the presence of certain neurological structures. However, IIT proposes that consciousness is not a privilege of humans alone but could extend to any system with sufficient integrated information. This means that consciousness might be far more widespread than we traditionally believe, existing in forms and places we might not expect. For instance, IIT suggests that certain animals, such as octopuses or even insects, might possess levels of consciousness that we haven't fully appreciated. Despite their radically different neural architectures, these creatures might still achieve a high degree of information integration within their nervous systems, granting them a form of consciousness that, while different from ours, is nonetheless real and significant. Moreover, IIT's emphasis on the structure and integration of information opens up possibilities for consciousness in non-biological systems. If consciousness arises wherever there is a high level of information integration, then, in theory, advanced artificial intelligences or even certain networks could develop a form of consciousness. This notion pushes the boundaries of what we typically consider to be alive or aware, and suggests that consciousness is not tied to a particular kind of material or biological makeup, but is a property of the organization and interaction of information itself. This leads to intriguing questions about the future of artificial intelligence. If we continue to develop increasingly complex AI systems, could we eventually create machines that are not just highly efficient but truly conscious? If so, what would that mean for our ethical responsibilities? Should conscious machines have rights? How would we even recognize consciousness in an entity so different from us? IIT suggests that we might one day need to grapple with these questions, as the line between biological and artificial consciousness becomes increasingly blurred. IIT also forces us to reconsider our understanding of selfhood and identity. If consciousness is a product of information integration, then our sense of self might be more fluid and dynamic than we realize. The theory suggests that consciousness is not a fixed state, but a continuous process of integration, meaning that our sense of identity could be constantly evolving as different parts of our brain engage with one another. This could imply that the self is not a singular, unchanging entity, but a complex, ever-shifting pattern of information integration. This perspective also has implications for how we understand disorders of consciousness, such as comas or vegetative states. IIT offers a framework for evaluating these conditions based on the level of information integration in the brain. It suggests that even when outward signs of consciousness are absent, there might still be some level of integrated information occurring within the brain, indicating a minimal or altered state of consciousness. This could change how we approach treatment and care for individuals in these conditions, as well as how we make decisions about end-of-life care. Despite its innovative approach, IIT is not without its challenges and criticisms. One major critique is that while IIT provides a way to quantify consciousness, it doesn't necessarily explain the qualitative, subjective experience, the hard problem of consciousness. Even if we can measure integrated information, it remains unclear how or why this integration gives rise to the rich inner life that we associate with being conscious. Critics argue that IIT, while useful, might not fully account for the phenomenological aspect of consciousness, which remains one of the most mysterious aspects of the mind. Additionally, the theory's reliance on complex mathematical models and the difficulties in measuring phi in real-world systems have led some to question its practicality. While IIT offers a compelling framework, applying it to actual brains or AI systems is an enormously complex task that requires significant advances in both neuroscience and computational modeling. As we move forward, we'll explore how IIT's ideas might be applied in practice, especially in fields like neuroscience and AI, and consider what future research might reveal about the nature of consciousness and the potential for creating conscious machines. As we turn our attention to the potential applications and future directions of integrated information theory, IIT, it's clear that this theory could have far-reaching implications for various fields, from neuroscience to artificial intelligence. IIT not only offers a new way of understanding consciousness, but also provides a framework for exploring how we might one day create, manipulate, or even enhance conscious systems. In neuroscience, one of the most exciting applications of IIT is its potential to deepen our understanding of the brain. By using IIT to map and measure the levels of integrated information across different regions of the brain, researchers could gain new insights into how consciousness emerges from neural activity. This could lead to breakthroughs in understanding various states of consciousness, such as sleep, anesthesia, and altered states, as well as conditions like locked-in syndrome or minimally conscious states. For instance, current neuroimaging techniques could be combined with IIT to assess consciousness in patients who are unable to communicate. By analyzing the 5 values in their brains, doctors might be able to determine whether there is any residual consciousness, even if the patient appears unresponsive. This could revolutionize how we approach diagnosis and treatment in cases of severe brain injury, providing more accurate assessments of a patient's condition and guiding decisions about care. Moreover, IIT could inform the development of new technologies aimed at enhancing or altering consciousness. If we understand consciousness as the integration of information, then it might be possible to design interventions that enhance this integration, potentially leading to heightened states of awareness or cognitive function. This could have applications in medicine, education, and even personal development, offering new ways to optimize mental health and performance. In the field of artificial intelligence, IIT raises fascinating possibilities and ethical dilemmas. If we can measure consciousness using phi, then we could theoretically apply this to AI systems, determining whether and to what extent a machine might be conscious. As AI technology advances, this could lead to the creation of machines that not only mimic human thought, but actually possess a form of consciousness. This challenges us to think about the ethical implications of such a development. What rights would a conscious machine have? How would we ensure the ethical treatment of AI that can experience consciousness? And what responsibilities would we have as creators of these new forms of life? Beyond individual AI systems, IIT could also be applied to networks or collectives, such as swarms of robots or distributed computing systems. If these networks are designed in a way that allows for a high degree of information integration, could they develop a collective consciousness? This idea opens up new avenues for research and experimentation, where the boundaries between individual and collective consciousness might be explored in unprecedented ways. Looking to the future, the continued development of IIT could lead to a more precise understanding of the relationship between physical systems and consciousness. As our ability to measure and manipulate information integration improves, we might one day be able to engineer consciousness itself, creating conscious entities with specific qualities or characteristics. This could revolutionize fields like AI, where the creation of conscious machines might transform industries ranging from healthcare to entertainment. However, the road ahead is not without challenges. IIT's complex mathematical models require sophisticated tools and technologies that are still in development. Accurately measuring phi in real-world systems, particularly in the human brain, is a monumental task that will require advances in both neuroscience and computational modeling. Moreover, the ethical implications of manipulating or creating consciousness are profound, raising questions that society must carefully consider as this field progresses. Despite these challenges, IIT has already made significant contributions to our understanding of consciousness, offering a framework that is both scientifically rigorous and philosophically rich. As research continues, IIT could pave the way for new discoveries about the mind and the nature of reality itself, pushing the boundaries of what we know and what we can create. In conclusion, integrated information theory represents a bold and innovative approach to one of the most enduring mysteries of existence, consciousness. whether applied to neuroscience, artificial intelligence, or the broader understanding of life. IIT challenges us to rethink our assumptions and explore new possibilities. As we stand on the brink of these new frontiers, IIT invites us to imagine a future where consciousness is not just understood but harnessed and expanded in ways we are only beginning to comprehend. Global Workspace Theory. Bernard Baars, a prominent cognitive scientist, introduced the Global Workspace Theory in the late 20th century as a comprehensive model to explain consciousness. The theory emerged from Baars' work on cognitive psychology and aims to provide a framework for understanding how different cognitive processes integrate to produce conscious awareness. At its core, Global Workspace Theory proposes that consciousness functions as a global workspace within the mind, a central hub where information from various cognitive systems is broadcasted and made available for conscious processing. This central workspace acts like a spotlight, highlighting specific information and making it accessible to various cognitive processes such as decision-making, planning, and memory. The theory likens consciousness to a theater stage, where the global workspace represents the spotlight that illuminates certain aspects of the mental stage while other cognitive processes operate in the background. This analogy helps to illustrate how information becomes in the spotlight of conscious awareness, enabling it to be accessed and utilized by different mental functions. One of the fundamental principles of global workspace theory is that conscious awareness is not localized to a specific brain region, but arises from the dynamic interactions between various cognitive processes. According to the theory, information that reaches the global workspace is integrated from sensory inputs, memories, and ongoing cognitive activities. This integrated information is then available for conscious reflection and decision-making. Global Workspace Theory contrasts with other theories of consciousness, such as the Integrated Information Theory and Orch Theory. While Integrated Information Theory focuses on the complexity and integration of information within a system, and Orch Theory posits that consciousness arises from quantum processes in microtubules. Global Workspace Theory emphasizes the role of information dissemination and access within the cognitive system. In essence, Global Workspace Theory provides a functional perspective on consciousness, suggesting that the mind operates through a distributed network of processes that collaborate to create a unified conscious experience. This perspective shifts the focus from specific neural substrates to the broader cognitive mechanisms that facilitate conscious awareness. The theory has had a significant impact on cognitive science, influencing research on attention, working memory, and the neural correlates of consciousness. By framing consciousness as a global workspace, Baars' theory has paved the way for exploring how different aspects of cognition come together to create the experience of being aware. Overall, Global Workspace Theory offers a compelling framework for understanding how consciousness emerges from the integration of information across various cognitive domains. It highlights the importance of a centralized workspace for accessing and utilizing information, providing a valuable perspective on the nature of conscious experience. Global Workspace Theory proposes that consciousness arises from a central hub in the mind, termed the global workspace, where information from various cognitive systems is integrated and made available for conscious awareness. This section delves into how this global workspace functions and the roles it plays in cognitive processing. At the heart of the global workspace theory is the concept of information integration. The global workspace is envisioned as a dynamic network that pulls together disparate streams of information, such as sensory inputs, memories, and ongoing thoughts. This integration process is crucial because it allows for coherent and unified conscious experiences. For instance, when you are consciously aware of a conversation, the global workspace integrates auditory input, the words being spoken, visual input, the speaker's expressions, and relevant memories, past experiences related to the conversation, to produce a unified awareness of the interaction. One key mechanism proposed by the theory is the role of working memory. Working memory serves as a temporary storage system where information can be held and manipulated. In the context of the global workspace, working memory acts as a bridge between the various cognitive processes and the central workspace. When information is brought into the global workspace, it is often held in working memory, where it can be accessed and utilized for tasks such as problem-solving and decision-making. Attention plays a pivotal role in the functioning of the global workspace. Attention acts as a filter, determining which pieces of information are brought into the spotlight of conscious awareness. This selective attention process ensures that only the most relevant or salient information is highlighted, while other, less pertinent details remain in the background. For example, when you focus on a particular task, your attention channels cognitive resources towards that task, allowing the global workspace to concentrate on the relevant information and exclude distractions. The global workspace is also involved in the coordination of different cognitive processes. It acts as a central hub where information from various cognitive modules, such as perception, memory, and executive functions, is synthesized. This synthesis allows for coordinated responses and actions. For instance, when making a decision, the global workspace integrates input from sensory perception, what you see or hear, memory, relevant past experiences, and executive functions, planning and reasoning, to generate a coherent decision-making process. Another important aspect of the global workspace is its role in facilitating conscious access to information. Information that enters the global workspace becomes available for conscious thought, reflection, and verbal expression. This means that once information is integrated into the global workspace, it can be actively manipulated, analyzed, and communicated. This conscious access is crucial for higher-order cognitive functions, such as reasoning, problem-solving, and self-reflection. Global Workspace Theory also emphasizes the importance of the neural basis of the global workspace. Neuroscientific research has identified several brain regions that are believed to contribute to the functioning of the global workspace. These regions include the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in working memory and executive functions, the parietal cortex, which integrates sensory information, and the anterior cingulate cortex, which plays a role in attention and error monitoring. The interactions between these brain regions support the integration and dissemination of information within the global workspace. In summary, the mechanisms and functions of the global workspace are central to understanding how consciousness operates according to global workspace theory. The theory posits that the global workspace serves as a central hub for integrating and coordinating information from various cognitive processes facilitated by working memory, attention, and neural interactions. This integration enables coherent and unified conscious experiences, allowing for higher-order cognitive functions and conscious awareness. Global Workspace Theory, proposed by Bernard Bars, has been supported and elaborated upon through various experimental studies and applications in cognitive science. This section explores some of the key evidence that bolsters the theory and its implications for understanding cognitive processes and disorders. One of the main sources of support for global workspace theory comes from studies on visual consciousness. Research using techniques like binocular rivalry, where different images are presented to each eye, has shown that only one image becomes consciously visible at a time while the other remains suppressed. This phenomenon supports the idea that the global workspace is responsible for integrating and bringing forward information into conscious awareness. Studies have demonstrated that when one image dominates perception, it is represented in the global workspace, whereas the suppressed image is not accessible to conscious thought. Another significant line of evidence comes from research on attentional blink, a phenomenon where individuals fail to detect a second target in a rapid stream of visual stimuli if it appears shortly after the first target. This phenomenon supports the idea that there is a limited capacity for the global workspace. When information is processed in the global workspace, there is a temporary gap where additional information cannot be integrated into conscious awareness, aligning with the theory's concept of cognitive limitations and information bottlenecks. Neuroimaging studies have provided additional support for global workspace theory. Functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, and electroencephalography, EEG, have identified brain regions associated with conscious processing. For instance, activation in the prefrontal cortex has been linked to tasks that require conscious awareness and working memory, supporting the idea that this region plays a crucial role in the global workspace. Similarly, studies have shown that neural oscillations, patterns of brainwave activity, are associated with the integration of information in the global workspace, further linking neural mechanisms with conscious experience. Global workspace theory has profound implications for various fields within cognitive science and psychology. In cognitive psychology, the theory provides a framework for understanding phenomena related to attention, working memory, and conscious awareness. By viewing consciousness as a global workspace, researchers can investigate how different cognitive processes interact and contribute to the unified experience of awareness. This perspective has led to the development of models that simulate how information is managed within the global workspace, providing insights into cognitive functions and dysfunctions. In clinical psychology and neuroscience, global workspace theory has been applied to understand and address cognitive disorders. For instance, research on conditions like schizophrenia and dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder, has used the theory to explore disruptions in conscious awareness and information integration. Individuals with these disorders often exhibit difficulties in integrating and maintaining coherent conscious experiences, aligning with the notion that the global workspace may be impaired or dysfunctional. The theory has also influenced approaches to cognitive rehabilitation, techniques that aim to improve attention, working memory, and conscious awareness often draw upon principles from global workspace theory. For example, cognitive training programs designed to enhance executive functions and working memory utilize strategies that reflect the theory's emphasis on integrating and managing information within the global workspace. Global workspace theory extends beyond cognitive science and psychology, impacting fields such as artificial intelligence, AI, and consciousness research. In AI, the theory's framework has been used to develop models of artificial consciousness, exploring how machines might achieve a form of conscious awareness by simulating the integration and dissemination of information. These models aim to replicate aspects of human consciousness, providing insights into the potential capabilities and limitations of artificial systems. In consciousness research, global workspace theory contributes to the ongoing debate about the nature of conscious experience. By framing consciousness as a global workspace, the theory offers a functional perspective that emphasizes the role of information integration and access. This perspective contrasts with other theories that focus on neural correlates or quantum processes, providing a unique approach to understanding the complex phenomenon of consciousness. Overall, the evidence and applications of global workspace theory highlight its significance in explaining and exploring conscious awareness. From experimental studies to clinical applications and broader implications, The theory provides a valuable framework for understanding how information is managed and integrated within the global workspace, shaping our understanding of cognitive processes and disorders. While Global Workspace Theory has provided valuable insights into the nature of consciousness, it has also faced criticism and scrutiny. This final part explores the main criticisms of the theory, alternative perspectives, and potential future directions for research. One of the primary criticisms of Global Workspace Theory is its reliance on a metaphorical framework that some argue lacks precise scientific grounding. The theory's analogy of consciousness as a theater stage, or spotlight, is seen by some critics as too abstract and not directly tied to the physical and neural mechanisms underlying conscious experience. Critics argue that while the theory offers a functional perspective, it does not adequately address how specific neural processes contribute to the integration and dissemination of information. Another criticism involves the theory's focus on the centralization of information. Some researchers argue that consciousness may not be as centralized as Global Workspace Theory suggests. For instance, theories such as the Integrated Information Theory propose that consciousness arises from the complex integration of information across a network, rather than through a single central workspace. This perspective challenges the idea of a unified global workspace, suggesting instead that consciousness may emerge from distributed processes. Additionally, Global Workspace Theory has been critiqued for its limitations in explaining certain cognitive phenomena. For example, the theory struggles to account for variations in conscious experience, such as the differences between waking consciousness, dreams, and altered states of awareness. Critics argue that the theory's focus on the global workspace may not fully capture the nuances of these diverse states of consciousness. Several alternative theories offer different perspectives on consciousness and information processing. Integrated Information Theory, proposed by Giulio Tononi, posits that consciousness arises from the integration of information within a system, measured by the system's ability to generate complex, interconnected information. This theory emphasizes the importance of information complexity and integration, providing a contrast to the centralized focus of Global Workspace Theory. Another alternative is the Orch Theory, developed by Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, which suggests that consciousness emerges from quantum processes occurring within microtubules in neurons. This theory posits that quantum coherence and entanglement play a crucial role in conscious experience, offering a different approach from the information integration model of Global Workspace Theory. The debate between these theories continues, with researchers exploring how different models can complement or challenge one another. The ongoing research aims to reconcile various perspectives and provide a more comprehensive understanding of consciousness. Future research on Global Workspace Theory is likely to focus on several key areas. One direction is to refine the theory's conceptual framework and provide a more detailed account of the neural mechanisms underlying the global workspace. Advances in neuroimaging and electrophysiological techniques could offer more precise insights into how information is integrated and accessed within the brain. Another area of interest is the exploration of how global workspace theory can be integrated with other theories of consciousness. Researchers may investigate how the theory's principles can complement perspectives, such as integrated information theory and Orch Theory, potentially leading to a more holistic understanding of conscious experience. Additionally, research may focus on applying the theory to practical domains such as cognitive rehabilitation, artificial intelligence, and mental health. By exploring how the principles of global workspace theory can be used to address cognitive disorders, develop artificial systems with conscious-like properties, and enhance mental health interventions, researchers can expand the theory's impact and relevance. In conclusion, While Global Workspace Theory has made significant contributions to our understanding of consciousness, it faces criticisms and limitations that drive ongoing research and debate. By addressing these criticisms and exploring alternative theories, researchers aim to refine and expand our understanding of conscious experience. The future of Global Workspace Theory holds promise for integrating new insights, advancing scientific knowledge, and applying the theory to practical and theoretical challenges. Orch Theory. It stands as one of the most audacious and intriguing approaches to understanding consciousness. Conceived by Sir Roger Penrose, a distinguished mathematician and physicist, and Stuart Hameroff, an anesthesiologist with a deep interest in the neural underpinnings of consciousness, this theory suggests that consciousness arises from quantum processes within the brain's microtubules. Microtubules are cylindrical protein structures found within the cells of the brain, playing a role in maintaining cell shape, enabling intracellular transport, and facilitating cell division. But, according to Orch Theory, they do much more than that. They are central to the very fabric of consciousness itself. Penrose's journey into the realm of consciousness began with his fascination with the nature of computation and its relationship to human thought. His earlier work, particularly in the book The Emperor's New Mind, 1989, challenged the prevailing notion that human consciousness could be fully explained by computational processes akin to those of a computer. He argued that the human mind was capable of non-computable functions, processes that no algorithm could replicate. This line of reasoning led Penrose to quantum mechanics, the branch of physics that deals with the behavior of particles at the smallest scales of nature. In the quantum realm, particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously, a phenomenon known as superposition. Penrose theorized that these quantum states could collapse or reduce to a single state, and that this reduction process could be the key to understanding consciousness. However, for Penrose's idea to hold water, there had to be a physical structure within the brain where such quantum processes could take place. This is where Stuart Hameroff's expertise became crucial. Hameroff, who had been studying microtubules and their potential role in brain function, proposed that these structures could be the sites where quantum processes related to consciousness occur. According to Orch Theory, microtubules are not just passive structural components of cells, but are involved in the active processing of information at the quantum level. The theory posits that quantum coherence, where particles remain interconnected in a specific state, can occur within these microtubules. When this coherence collapses, it results in a conscious experience, a process termed orchestrated objective reduction. This concept was groundbreaking because it linked consciousness to a physical process that could potentially be observed and measured. It also suggested that consciousness is not merely an emergent property of neural networks and chemical interactions, but is tied to the fundamental laws of physics, specifically the strange and often counterintuitive world of quantum mechanics. Critically, Orch Theory also introduces the idea that consciousness is non-local, meaning it cannot be confined to a specific location within the brain. Instead, consciousness arises from the quantum interactions within microtubules that are spread throughout the brain. This challenges the traditional view that specific regions of the brain, like the prefrontal cortex, are solely responsible for conscious thought. Orch Theory offers a paradigm shift in how we might understand consciousness, suggesting that it is deeply intertwined with the fabric of reality itself. The notion that our conscious experiences are tied to the quantum properties of matter offers a tantalizing glimpse into a new frontier of science, one that could redefine our understanding of the mind, the brain, and the universe. Orch Theory rests on the intricate and often bewildering principles of quantum mechanics, which govern the behavior of particles at the smallest scales of reality. To grasp the essence of this theory, it's essential to explore the quantum foundations that make it possible. Quantum mechanics revolutionized physics in the early 20th century by introducing concepts like superposition, entanglement, and wave-particle duality. These phenomena defy classical logic, where objects are expected to have definite positions and velocities. Instead, quantum mechanics reveals a world where particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously, and where the act of observation can influence the outcome of a quantum event. In the context of Orch theory, the principle of superposition is particularly crucial. Superposition refers to the ability of quantum particles to exist in multiple states at once. This phenomenon is best illustrated by the famous thought experiment known as Schrödinger's cat, where a cat in a box is simultaneously alive and dead until someone opens the box to observe it. In the brain, according to Orch theory, microtubules might host such superpositions, allowing quantum processes to unfold within these structures. Another key concept is quantum coherence, which describes the state where quantum particles, such as electrons or photons, remain in sync with each other across distances. Coherence is essential for the functioning of quantum systems, as it enables particles to act as a unified whole rather than as isolated entities. In Orch theory, coherence within microtubules is proposed to play a central role in generating consciousness. Quantum entanglement, another pillar of quantum mechanics, suggests that particles can become interconnected in such a way that the state of one particle instantly influences the state of another, no matter the distance between them. This spooky action at a distance, as Albert Einstein famously described it, has profound implications for Orch theory. If entanglement occurs within microtubules, it could mean that consciousness arises not from isolated neural processes, but from a web of interconnected quantum states, spanning different regions of the brain. The idea of objective reduction, OR, central to Orch theory, is derived from Penrose's earlier work on the collapse of the quantum wave function. According to quantum mechanics, a particle in superposition exists in all possible states until a measurement collapses it into one definite state. Penrose proposed that this collapse, or reduction, could occur spontaneously due to gravitational effects at the quantum level, independent of an observer. This process, he argued, could provide a physical basis for consciousness, where each collapse corresponds to a moment of conscious awareness. In Orch theory, this objective reduction is orchestrated by the structure and dynamics of microtubules. The idea is that when quantum coherence within microtubules reaches a critical threshold, a collapse occurs, leading to a conscious experience. This orchestrated aspect refers to the idea that these reductions are not random, but are influenced by the biological and chemical environment of the brain, which guides the process. The proposal that consciousness could emerge from quantum processes within microtubules is nothing short of revolutionary. It suggests that consciousness is a fundamental aspect of the universe, tied to the quantum properties of matter itself. This challenges the more traditional view that consciousness is solely an emergent property of complex neural networks and biochemical processes. However, the scientific community has met Orch theory with both intrigue and skepticism. Critics argue that the brain's warm, wet, and noisy environment would disrupt quantum coherence, making it unlikely for such delicate processes to occur. Despite this, recent research in quantum biology has shown that quantum effects can play a role in biological systems, such as photosynthesis and avian navigation, which lends some credibility to the possibility that quantum processes might also be at play in the brain. Orch Theory's reliance on quantum mechanics opens up a fascinating intersection between neuroscience, physics, and philosophy. By proposing that consciousness is rooted in the deepest levels of reality, it challenges us to rethink what it means to be aware, to experience, and to exist. Central to the Orch theory is the role of microtubules, microscopic tubular structures that are fundamental components of the cytoskeleton within cells, including neurons. Unlike other parts of the cell that are more straightforward in their functions, microtubules present a unique intersection of biology and physics, making them an intriguing candidate for the site of consciousness according to Orch theory. Microtubules are composed of tubulin proteins, which assemble into long, hollow cylinders. These structures are not only crucial for maintaining the cell's shape and enabling intracellular transport, but they also play a role in cell division and the organization of the cell's internal environment. What makes microtubules particularly interesting in the context of Orch theory is their highly organized and dynamic nature, which might allow them to support quantum processes. The idea that microtubules could play a role in consciousness stems from their ability to oscillate and interact with other cellular components. These oscillations might allow microtubules to support quantum coherence, a state where quantum particles remain correlated in a way that enables them to function together in unison, even over relatively large distances within the brain. In this context, microtubules could act as a sort of quantum computer, processing information in a way that classical neurons cannot. One of the most striking aspects of microtubules is their scale. At the nanoscale level, they are small enough to potentially interact with quantum effects, yet large and complex enough to support the kinds of organized processes that are necessary for something as intricate as consciousness. This dual nature places microtubules in a unique position where they could bridge the gap between the quantum world and the macroscopic world of neural activity. Stuart Hameroff's contribution to Orch theory was rooted in his extensive research into the structure and function of microtubules. He suggested that the arrangement of tubulin proteins within microtubules could facilitate quantum computation. Tubulin proteins can exist in different conformational states, potentially representing quantum bits or qubits. These qubits, in theory, could process vast amounts of information simultaneously due to the principles of superposition. In Orch theory, these qubits are proposed to undergo orchestrated objective reduction, where a quantum state collapses into a single outcome, correlating with a moment of conscious experience. The theory suggests that this collapse is not random, but is influenced by the environment of the brain, including the activity of neurons and the biochemical milieu in which microtubules operate. What differentiates microtubules from other cellular structures in this theory is their potential to maintain quantum coherence long enough for meaningful processing to occur, while the brain's environment is typically too warm and chaotic for quantum coherence to persist. Hameroff and Penrose proposed that the unique properties of microtubules could protect these quantum states, allowing them to contribute to consciousness. Moreover, microtubules are strategically positioned within neurons to influence neural activity. They are involved in the regulation of synaptic activity, which is crucial for communication between neurons. This positioning means that if quantum processes were occurring within microtubules, they could directly affect the firing of neurons, thereby influencing thoughts, decisions, and awareness. The theory also posits that the microtubule's structured network within neurons allows for a highly integrated form of information processing. Unlike conventional neural networks, which rely on the connections between neurons to transmit signals, the microtubule network could process information on a much finer scale, potentially allowing for a more nuanced and sophisticated form of consciousness. This hypothesis leads to profound implications about the nature of consciousness itself. If Orch theory is correct, then consciousness is not just an emergent property of complex neural networks, but a fundamental aspect of the universe, rooted in the very fabric of reality at the quantum level. Microtubules, with their unique ability to bridge the quantum and classical worlds, could be the key to unlocking the mystery of how consciousness arises. Orch theory has pushed the boundaries of our understanding of consciousness by suggesting that the answer lies not in large-scale brain structures or simple biochemical interactions, but in the intricate dance of quantum states within the tiny microtubules that make up our neurons. As with any groundbreaking theory, Orch theory has sparked a significant amount of debate, both within the scientific community and beyond. While it offers a provocative explanation for consciousness, it also raises numerous questions and challenges that have fueled ongoing discussion. One of the most profound implications of Orch theory is its suggestion that the consciousness might be an intrinsic part of the universe, deeply rooted in the quantum fabric of reality. If consciousness emerges from quantum processes within microtubules, then it could mean that awareness is not just a byproduct of complex brain functions, but a fundamental property of matter itself. This perspective aligns with certain philosophical viewpoints, such as Panpsychism, which posits that a consciousness is a universal feature of all things, from the smallest particles to the largest structures in the cosmos. This idea challenges the conventional view of consciousness as something that only arises in complex biological systems, such as the human brain. Instead, Orch theory suggests that consciousness could be a much more widespread and fundamental aspect of the universe. This has profound implications for our understanding of life, the universe, and our place within it. If consciousness is indeed a quantum phenomenon, then it might exist in various forms throughout the cosmos, potentially even in systems that we currently consider non-living. Moreover, Orch theory offers a new perspective on the mind-body problem, one of the oldest and most enduring questions in philosophy. This problem concerns the relationship between the mind and the physical body, specifically how mental states like thoughts and emotions can arise from physical processes in the brain. Traditional approaches to this problem have often struggled to explain how subjective experiences, our inner thoughts and feelings, can emerge from the objective, physical workings of the brain. Orch theory provides a potential solution by suggesting that consciousness arises from quantum processes that are fundamentally different from classical physical processes. This quantum view of consciousness offers a way to bridge the gap between the subjective and the objective, suggesting that consciousness might be a direct result of the quantum nature of the universe itself. However, despite its intriguing implications, Orch theory has faced significant criticism. One of the main challenges to the theory is the issue of quantum decoherence. In quantum mechanics, coherence is the property that allows quantum systems to exist in superposition and maintain entanglement. However, in a warm, noisy environment like the human brain, quantum systems are expected to quickly lose coherence, a process known as decoherence. Critics argue that the brain's environment is far too chaotic to support the delicate quantum states required by Orch theory. Additionally, the theory's reliance on microtubules as the site of quantum consciousness has been questioned. While microtubules are indeed fascinating structures with many important roles in the cell, there is limited empirical evidence to suggest that they can sustain quantum coherence for the timescales required for consciousness. Some scientists argue that even if quantum effects do occur in microtubules, they are unlikely to play a significant role in the complex phenomena of consciousness. Furthermore, the experimental verification of Orch theory poses substantial challenges. Quantum processes are notoriously difficult to observe and measure, especially in biological systems like the brain. While some research in quantum biology has shown that quantum effects can occur in living organisms, proving that these effects are responsible for consciousness remains a formidable task. In response to these criticisms, proponents of Orch Theory, including Penrose and Hameroff, have continued to refine their ideas and propose new experiments. They argue that recent advancements in technology and quantum biology might eventually provide the tools needed to test the theory more rigorously. Moreover, they suggest that the discovery of quantum effects in other biological processes, such as photosynthesis and avian navigation, offers hope that similar effects might be at play in the brain. Despite the controversies, Orch Theory remains one of the most ambitious attempts to explain consciousness in scientific terms. It brings together ideas from physics, biology, and philosophy in a way that challenges our understanding of the mind and the universe. Whether or not the theory is ultimately proven correct, it has undeniably pushed the boundaries of how we think about consciousness and opened up new avenues for exploration. As our understanding of quantum mechanics and the brain continues to evolve, Orch Theory might one day provide the key to unlocking one of the greatest mysteries of existence. For now, it remains a bold and fascinating hypothesis, offering a glimpse into the potential quantum roots of consciousness and reminding us that the nature of awareness might be even more profound and mysterious than we ever imagined. Panpsychism. This theory that challenges conventional views of consciousness by suggesting that consciousness is not limited to humans or animals, but is a fundamental aspect of all things in the universe. This idea might seem radical, but it has deep roots in the history of philosophy and has recently gained renewed interest as scientists and thinkers explore the mysteries of the mind. The term panpsychism combines two Greek words, pan, meaning all, and psyche, meaning soul or mind. At its core, panpsychism proposes that mind or consciousness is a universal feature of reality, present even in the smallest particles. This view contrasts sharply with materialism, which holds that the consciousness arises only from complex biological systems like the human brain. Panpsychism's origins can be traced back to ancient philosophy. Early Greek philosophers, like Thales of Miletus, believed that everything in nature had a form of life or consciousness. Thales, for instance, famously suggested that everything is full of gods, implying that all things possess some sort of inner life or awareness. This early form of panpsychism reflected a worldview where the cosmos was seen as alive and interconnected. As philosophy evolved, the idea that consciousness could be a fundamental aspect of reality persisted in various forms. In the Renaissance, Giordano Bruno proposed that the universe was infinite and filled with countless living beings, including stars and planets, each with its own consciousness. His ideas were considered heretical at the time, leading to his eventual persecution, but they marked an important moment in the history of thought about the cosmos and consciousness. In the modern era, panpsychism has been revisited by philosophers and scientists who are dissatisfied with traditional explanations of consciousness. One of the most prominent contemporary advocates of panpsychism is the philosopher Galen Strawson. He argues that consciousness cannot simply emerge from non-conscious matter. Instead, he suggests that consciousness must be a fundamental feature of reality, existing in all things to some degree. Strawson's perspective is part of a broader critique of materialism, the dominant view in contemporary science, which posits that everything, including consciousness, can be explained by physical processes. However, materialism struggles to account for subjective experience. The inner, qualitative aspect of consciousness known as qualia, Panpsychism offers an alternative by proposing that consciousness is not something that arises from physical processes, but is instead a basic aspect of reality, much like space, time, and matter. This approach opens up intriguing possibilities for understanding consciousness. If consciousness is a fundamental property of all matter, then it might not be something that is produced by the brain, but rather something that the brain organizes and amplifies. This idea suggests a continuity of consciousness across different forms of existence, from the simplest particles to the most complex organisms, with the complexity of consciousness increasing along with the complexity of the system. Panpsychism invites us to reconsider what it means to be conscious and to explore the possibility that the universe is teeming with different forms of awareness, most of which are too simple or too different from our own to be easily recognized. This perspective challenges the boundaries we typically draw between the living and non-living, the conscious and the unconscious, suggesting a more interconnected and dynamic view of reality. As we delve deeper into panpsychism, it becomes clear that this theory offers a unique perspective on the relationship between mind and matter. While traditional views often see consciousness as a byproduct of complex systems, like the human brain, panpsychism suggests that consciousness is inherent in all matter. This idea challenges the notion that there is a strict divide between the animate and inanimate, or between the conscious and unconscious. One of the central ideas in panpsychism is that the consciousness exists on a spectrum. On one end of this spectrum, we find highly complex systems like the human brain, which produce rich and intricate forms of consciousness. On the other end, we find the most basic particles of matter, which, according to panpsychism, might possess extremely simple forms of consciousness. This idea is not to suggest that atoms have thoughts or feelings, but rather that they have a basic form of awareness, however rudimentary. This perspective helps address one of the most significant challenges in the philosophy of mind, the hard problem of consciousness. The hard problem, as articulated by philosopher David Chalmers, refers to the difficulty of explaining why and how physical processes in the brain give rise to subjective experience. Materialist explanations often fall short because they struggle to account for the qualitative aspects of experience, the what it's like to be conscious. Panpsychism offers a different approach by positing that consciousness is a fundamental aspect of matter. It suggests that subjective experience doesn't need to be created by the brain. Instead, the brain may function as a complex structure that organizes and integrates the basic consciousness inherent in its components. In this view, consciousness is not an emergent property that arises from specific configurations of matter, but rather a feature that is always present, merely taking on more complex forms in more complex systems. This leads to intriguing implications. If consciousness is indeed fundamental, then everything in the universe, from rocks to stars, might possess some level of awareness, no matter how minimal. The difference between human consciousness and the consciousness of a rock would be one of degree, not kind. Human consciousness is highly integrated and capable of complex thoughts, emotions, and self-awareness, while the consciousness of a rock might be so simple that it's almost imperceptible to us. This idea resonates with certain interpretations of quantum mechanics, where particles exhibit behavior that suggests a form of agency or choice. Some theorists speculate that these behaviors could be indicative of a basic form of consciousness inherent in all matter. This doesn't mean that particles are conscious in the way humans are, but it might suggest that they possess a very primitive form of awareness, enough to influence their behavior in ways that defy classical explanations. While this idea remains speculative, it opens up fascinating possibilities for how we understand the universe. If consciousness is everywhere, then the universe might be far more interconnected and alive than we currently understand. This perspective invites us to consider the possibility that consciousness plays a fundamental role in the structure and evolution of the cosmos itself. Panpsychism also invites us to rethink our ethical and environmental responsibilities. If all matter is conscious to some degree, then the way we interact with the world around us might need to change. This perspective could foster a greater sense of respect and care for all forms of existence, encouraging a more holistic and harmonious relationship with nature. Panpsychism also pushes us to rethink the very nature of consciousness itself, not just as a phenomenon that arises in complex systems, but as a fundamental aspect of reality that might exist in forms vastly different from our own. This leads to the fascinating notion that consciousness could be expressed in ways that are completely alien to human experience. For instance, while we experience consciousness as a stream of thoughts, emotions, and sensory perceptions, a simpler form of consciousness, like that of a single atom, might be something entirely incomprehensible to us, an almost imperceptible flicker of awareness, so different that we struggle to even conceive of it. This idea encourages us to consider the possibility of diverse types of consciousness existing throughout the universe. If panpsychism is correct, then consciousness could manifest in countless forms, not just within living organisms, but across the entire spectrum of existence. This opens up the possibility that the universe itself might be conscious in some form, or that the cosmic structures like galaxies or black holes possess a kind of awareness that we cannot even begin to understand. One of the more radical implications of panpsychism is the possibility that the universe as a whole could be a single, vast, conscious entity. This idea aligns with certain interpretations of ancient philosophical and spiritual traditions, where the cosmos is seen as a living being with its own mind and purpose. In modern times, this concept resonates with the Gaia hypothesis, which suggests that the Earth itself functions as a living organism, maintaining conditions suitable for life through a complex web of interactions. However, panpsychism takes this idea even further by suggesting that the Earth's consciousness could be just one part of a much larger universal mind. If all matter is conscious to some degree, then the interactions between these forms of consciousness could give rise to a kind of global or even cosmic consciousness. This might be similar to the way individual neurons in the brain contribute to the overall consciousness of a person. The universe, in this view, could be a vast, interconnected mind, with each part contributing to a larger whole. Panpsychism also pushes us to rethink the very nature of consciousness itself, not just as a phenomenon that arises in complex systems, but as a fundamental aspect of reality that might exist in forms vastly different from our own. This leads to the fascinating notion that consciousness could be expressed in ways that are completely alien to human experience. For instance, while we experience consciousness as a stream of thoughts, emotions, and sensory perceptions, a simpler form of consciousness, like that of a single atom, might be something entirely incomprehensible to us, an almost imperceptible flicker of awareness, so different that we struggle to even conceive of it. This idea encourages us to consider the possibility of diverse types of consciousness existing throughout the universe. If panpsychism is correct, then consciousness could manifest in countless forms, not just within living organisms, but across the entire spectrum of existence. This opens up the possibility that the universe itself might be conscious in some form, or that cosmic structures like galaxies or black holes possess a kind of awareness that we cannot even begin to understand. One of the more radical implications of panpsychism is the possibility that the universe as a whole could be a single, vast, conscious entity. This idea aligns with certain interpretations of ancient philosophical and spiritual traditions, where the cosmos is seen as a living being with its own mind and purpose. In modern times, this concept resonates with the Gaia hypothesis, which suggests that the Earth itself functions as a living organism, maintaining conditions suitable for life through a complex web of interactions. However, Panpsychism takes this idea even further by suggesting that the Earth's consciousness could be just one part of a much larger universal mind. If all matter is conscious to some degree, then the interactions between these forms of consciousness could give rise to a kind of global or even cosmic consciousness. This might be similar to the way individual neurons in the brain contribute to the overall consciousness of a person. The universe, in this view, could be a vast, interconnected mind, with each part contributing to a larger whole. This speculative idea has inspired various works of science fiction and popular culture, where the universe is portrayed as a living, conscious entity, or where different forms of consciousness interact on a cosmic scale. While these ideas remain highly speculative and are far from being scientifically proven, they nonetheless capture the imagination and challenge us to think about consciousness in new and expansive ways. Moreover, Panpsychism might provide a framework for understanding the relationship between consciousness and time. If consciousness is a fundamental aspect of reality, then it could be that time, as we perceive it, is also tied to the way consciousness experiences the world. This might lead to the idea that different forms of consciousness experience time in different ways. Some might perceive it as a continuous flow, while others might experience it as fragmented or even nonlinear. These speculative ideas are not meant to provide definitive answers, but to expand our thinking about what consciousness could be. By considering consciousness as a fundamental feature of the universe, Panpsychism invites us to explore possibilities that go beyond the limits of our current scientific understanding, encouraging a more holistic and integrated view of reality. In addition to its philosophical implications, Panpsychism offers a fascinating perspective on the evolution of consciousness. Traditional views often suggest that consciousness emerged at some point in the evolutionary process, possibly with the development of complex nervous systems. Panpsychism, however, proposes a different narrative, one where consciousness didn't suddenly appear but has always existed as a fundamental aspect of the universe. This perspective invites us to rethink the timeline of consciousness, considering it not as a latecomer in the evolutionary story, but as something that has been present since the very beginning of time. If consciousness has always been a part of the universe, then the evolution of life on Earth could be seen as the gradual increase in the complexity and integration of this ever-present consciousness. In this view, consciousness isn't something that organisms acquire, but rather something that they develop and express in increasingly sophisticated ways. Simple organisms might exhibit basic forms of awareness, such as responding to light or heat, while more complex organisms, like humans, have evolved to experience rich and multifaceted consciousness, including self-awareness, abstract thought, and emotions. This perspective also leads to intriguing questions about the future evolution of consciousness. If consciousness continues to evolve, what might it look like in the future? Could new forms of consciousness emerge either biologically or artificially that are as different from human consciousness as ours is from that of simpler organisms? This line of thinking opens up possibilities for the development of advanced, perhaps even non-biological forms of consciousness, such as those that might arise in artificial intelligence or in post-human evolution. Panpsychism also encourages us to consider how consciousness might function in different contexts or environments. For instance, could consciousness take on different forms in other parts of the universe, perhaps in conditions radically different from those on Earth? The idea that consciousness might be universal and adaptable suggests that it could manifest in ways that are unimaginable to us, shaped by the unique conditions of different planets, stars, or even entire galaxies. Furthermore, Panpsychism invites us to explore the idea that consciousness might not be limited to individual entities, but could also exist collectively, just as individual neurons in a brain work together to create a unified consciousness. Panpsychism raises the possibility that individual consciousnesses could combine to form a collective or shared awareness. This idea resonates with some interpretations of collective intelligence, where groups of individuals or even entire ecosystems work together in a way that suggests a form of collective consciousness. Such concepts challenge our traditional understanding of individuality and separation, suggesting instead that consciousness might be more interconnected than we realize. If consciousness is indeed a fundamental property of the universe, then it might transcend the boundaries we typically draw between self and other, individual and collective, human and non-human. These ideas also encourage a re-examination of spiritual and mystical experiences. Throughout history, people have reported experiences of unity with the universe, moments where they feel deeply connected to all things. Panpsychism offers a philosophical framework that could help explain such experiences, suggesting that they might be glimpses into the deeper, interconnected nature of consciousness that underlies all existence. As we conclude this exploration of panpsychism, it's clear that this theory offers a radical rethinking of consciousness, one that challenges the boundaries of science, philosophy, and spirituality. While panpsychism remains a highly speculative and often controversial idea, it opens the door to new ways of understanding the universe and our place within it. By suggesting that consciousness is not a rare and isolated phenomenon, but a fundamental aspect of all matter, panpsychism encourages us to view the universe as a vibrant, interconnected web of awareness, full of potential and mystery. Many worlds interpretation, the many worlds interpretation theory, is one of the most intriguing and controversial concepts in the field of quantum mechanics. This theory was first proposed by physicist Hugh Everett III in 1957 as an alternative to the Copenhagen interpretation, which was the dominant view of quantum mechanics at the time. The Copenhagen interpretation suggested that quantum particles exist in a state of superposition, meaning they can be in multiple states at once, until they are observed, at which point the wave function collapses and the particle assumes a single state. Everett, however, found this explanation unsatisfactory, particularly the idea that observation causes the wave function to collapse. Instead, he proposed that every possible outcome of a quantum measurement actually occurs, but in separate, non-communicating branches of the universe. This radical idea became the foundation of the many worlds interpretation theory, suggesting that our universe is just one of an infinite number of parallel universes that exist simultaneously. The fundamental principle of the many worlds interpretation theory is the idea of quantum branching. According to this theory, every time a quantum event occurs, the universe splits into multiple parallel universes, each representing a different possible outcome of that event. For example, if a quantum particle has a 50% chance of being in state A and a 50% chance of being in state B, the universe would split into two parallel universes, one where the particle is in state A and another where it is in state B. Both of these universes are equally real, but they exist in different branches, unable to interact with or influence each other. One of the most significant departures of the many worlds interpretation theory from the Copenhagen interpretation is its rejection of the wave function collapse. In the many worlds interpretation theory, the wave function never collapses. Instead, it continues to evolve, with each possible outcome creating a new branch of the universe. This means that all possible outcomes of a quantum event are realized, but in different universes. The many worlds interpretation theory also challenges our traditional understanding of reality. In this view, the universe is not a single, linear progression of events but a vast, branching tree of possibilities, with every possible outcome of every event existing somewhere in the multiverse. This idea has profound implications for our understanding of time, causality, and the nature of existence itself. Everett's theory was initially met with skepticism and resistance from the scientific community, largely because it was so different from the Copenhagen interpretation, which had been widely accepted for decades. However, over time, the many worlds interpretation theory has gained traction, particularly among physicists and philosophers who are interested in the implications of quantum mechanics for understanding the nature of reality. In summary, the many worlds interpretation theory offers a bold and radical rethinking of quantum mechanics, proposing that every possible outcome of a quantum event occurs in a separate, parallel universe. This theory rejects the concept of wave-function collapse and instead suggests that the universe is constantly branching into multiple, parallel realities, each as real as our own. As we delve deeper into this theory, we will explore its implications for quantum mechanics, its criticisms, and its impact on both science and popular culture. The many worlds interpretation theory doesn't just challenge our understanding of reality, it fundamentally reshapes the way we perceive the entire framework of quantum mechanics. Unlike other interpretations, which attempt to simplify or collapse the complexities of quantum phenomena, the many worlds interpretation theory embraces the full scope of quantum possibilities, suggesting that all potential outcomes are realized in an ever-expanding multiverse. One of the most significant theoretical implications of the many worlds interpretation theory is its impact on the concept of quantum superposition. In quantum mechanics, superposition refers to a particle's ability to exist in multiple states at once, until measured or observed. Traditionally, the act of observation was thought to cause the wave function to collapse, resulting in a single, definite outcome. However, the many worlds interpretation theory proposes that instead of collapsing, the wave function continues to evolve, leading to a branching of the universe at every quantum event. In this framework, superposition is not just a temporary state but a reflection of the multiverse's structure. Each possible state of a quantum particle exists in a separate, parallel universe, and these universes are all equally real, though they do not interact with one another. For instance, in the famous thought experiment involving Schrödinger's cat, the many worlds interpretation theory would suggest that when the quantum event determining the cat's fate occurs, the universe splits into two, one where the cat is alive and another where the cat is dead. Both outcomes exist, but in different branches of the multiverse. The theory also alters our understanding of quantum measurement. In classical interpretations, measurement plays a crucial role in determining the outcome of a quantum event. But in the many worlds interpretation theory, measurement is merely the point at which the universe branches, with each possible outcome being realized in its own parallel universe. This means that the observer too becomes part of the branching process. When a measurement is made, the observer splits into multiple versions, each experiencing a different outcome. This leads to the profound realization that there isn't a single, objective reality, but rather a multitude of realities that coexist simultaneously. Another profound implication of the many worlds interpretation theory is its challenge to the notion of determinism. In a single universe model, the future is often seen as determined by the present, with cause and effect unfolding in a linear fashion. However, in the many worlds interpretation theory, every possible outcome of every event is realized in some branch of the multiverse, leading to a non-deterministic view of reality. This means that while the future may seem uncertain and probabilistic from our perspective, every possible future already exists in some branch of the multiverse. The theory also has implications for the concept of probability in quantum mechanics. Traditionally, probabilities are understood as reflecting the likelihood of different outcomes in a single universe. But in the many worlds interpretation theory, probability is reinterpreted as a measure of how many branches of the multiverse correspond to a particular outcome. In other words, when we say that there is a 50% chance of an event occurring, we are saying that in 50% of the universes, that event will occur, and in the other 50%, it will not. This rethinking of probability challenges traditional notions of chance and randomness, suggesting that all possible outcomes are inevitable somewhere in the multiverse. Lastly, the many worlds interpretation theory offers a new perspective on the nature of time. Instead of viewing time as a linear progression from past to future, the theory suggests that time is a branching structure, with every quantum event leading to a new set of parallel universes. This means that the past is not a single, fixed sequence of events, but a vast array of possible histories, each realized in a different branch of the multiverse. Similarly, the future is not a single path, but a multitude of potential outcomes, all of which exist simultaneously. In summary, the many worlds interpretation theory has profound implications for our understanding of quantum mechanics. It redefines concepts such as superposition, measurement, determinism, probability, and time, offering a radically different view of reality as an ever-branching multiverse. This theory challenges traditional interpretations and opens up new avenues for exploring the nature of existence itself. The many worlds interpretation theory has sparked considerable debate within the scientific community since its inception. While it offers a novel perspective on quantum mechanics, it also faces several criticisms and controversies. These critiques range from philosophical objections to practical challenges, reflecting the complexity of integrating this theory into mainstream scientific discourse. One major criticism of the many worlds interpretation theory is its philosophical implications regarding reality and existence. Critics argue that the theory leads to a proliferation of universes, each with its own version of reality. This raises questions about the nature of reality itself. If every possible outcome is realized in a separate universe, it challenges the idea of a singular, objective reality. Philosophers and scientists have debated whether the theory's many worlds are genuinely distinct realities or merely theoretical constructs with no tangible implications. Another philosophical criticism is the issue of ontological excess. The many worlds interpretation theory posits the existence of an infinite number of parallel universes, each with its own version of every quantum event. Critics argue that this introduces an unwarranted level of complexity, adding an infinite number of entities to our model of the universe without providing a clear means of empirical verification. This criticism is often summarized by the principle of Occam's razor, which suggests that simpler explanations with fewer assumptions are generally preferred. From this perspective, the many worlds interpretation theory may be seen as excessively complex compared to alternative interpretations of quantum mechanics. One of the most significant challenges facing the many worlds interpretation theory is the difficulty in empirically testing or falsifying its predictions. Unlike other quantum theories that make specific, testable predictions about observable phenomena, the many worlds interpretation theory suggests that all possible outcomes of quantum events occur in separate universes. This makes it challenging to devise experiments that could confirm or refute the existence of parallel universes, as we have no means of interacting with or observing these other branches. This empirical challenge has led some critics to question the scientific validity of the many worlds interpretation theory. They argue that a theory should be grounded in observable phenomena and subject to experimental verification. Since the many worlds interpretation theory does not provide clear, testable predictions for observable results in our own universe, it is often criticized as being more of a philosophical speculation than a scientific theory. The many worlds interpretation theory also faces practical difficulties related to computation and information processing. In a multiverse scenario, where every possible outcome occurs, the amount of information generated by quantum events can become astronomically large. Critics argue that managing and computing this information is not only practically impossible, but also introduces significant challenges in understanding and interpreting the results. Moreover, the theory's implication that every possible outcome occurs in some universe raises questions about how to account for and integrate this information. If all possible outcomes exist, then the notion of probability, which is a fundamental aspect of quantum mechanics, becomes less straightforward. Critics have pointed out that the theory's approach to probability and information processing may lead to conceptual and computational difficulties, complicating our ability to apply and understand quantum mechanics. The many worlds interpretation theory also brings up questions about decision-making and personal agency. In a multiverse framework, every choice and decision leads to the creation of multiple branches, each representing a different outcome. This raises philosophical questions about free will and personal responsibility. If every possible choice is realized in a parallel universe, what does this mean for our understanding of decision-making and the consequences of our actions? Critics argue that this could lead to a deterministic view of reality, where individual choices have less significance, as every possible outcome occurs regardless of our decisions. Despite these criticisms, proponents of the many worlds interpretation theory argue that it offers a coherent and elegant solution to some of the puzzles of quantum mechanics. They contend that the theory provides a consistent framework that avoids the problems of wave-function collapse and offers a natural explanation for quantum superposition. Ongoing debates continue to explore the validity and implications of the many worlds interpretation theory. Researchers are working on developing new ways to test and refine the theory, and philosophical discussions about the nature of reality and existence are ongoing. As our understanding of quantum mechanics evolves, the many worlds interpretation theory remains a key area of exploration, challenging traditional views and prompting new questions about the nature of the universe. The many worlds interpretation theory, while initially met with skepticism, has had a profound influence on both scientific thought and popular culture. Its radical ideas have not only reshaped discussions within the scientific community, but have also captured the imagination of the public, inspiring a range of cultural and intellectual explorations. In the scientific arena, the many worlds interpretation theory has spurred considerable research and discussion. Physicists and quantum theorists have engaged deeply with the theory, exploring its implications for our understanding of quantum mechanics and the nature of reality. One significant impact of the many worlds interpretation theory is its role in advancing discussions about quantum decoherence. Decoherence is a process that explains how quantum systems interact with their environments, leading to the appearance of classical behavior. The many worlds interpretation theory provides a framework for understanding decoherence as a mechanism for the branching of the multiverse, offering new insights into how quantum states evolve and how classical reality emerges from quantum possibilities. Researchers have also explored the many worlds interpretation theory in the context of quantum computing. Quantum computers leverage quantum superposition and entanglement to perform complex calculations. The many worlds interpretation theory suggests that quantum computations might be understood as processes that occur across multiple branches of the multiverse, potentially influencing how we think about quantum information processing and computational power. Furthermore, the many worlds interpretation theory has influenced discussions about the nature of probability in quantum mechanics. By reinterpreting probability as a measure of the prevalence of different outcomes across parallel universes, the theory challenges traditional views and prompts new approaches to understanding quantum phenomena. Beyond the realm of science, the many worlds interpretation theory has made its mark on popular culture. The concept of parallel universes and branching realities has been a recurring theme in science fiction and fantasy literature. Authors and creators have drawn inspiration from the idea of a multiverse to explore imaginative scenarios, alternate histories, and speculative futures. One notable example is the multiverse concept popularized by television shows and films. For instance, series like Rick and Morty and Doctor Who frequently explore parallel universes and alternate realities, often incorporating elements of the many worlds interpretation theory into their storytelling. These portrayals reflect the public's fascination with the idea that our universe is just one of many possible realities. In literature, writers such as Philip K. Dick and Jorge Luis Borges have explored themes related to parallel universes and alternate realities, drawing on ideas similar to those proposed by the many worlds interpretation theory. These works often delve into philosophical questions about the nature of existence and the implications of multiple realities, resonating with the theory's broader themes. The many worlds interpretation theory continues to be a subject of active research and debate. As our understanding of quantum mechanics evolves, new insights and advancements may shed light on the validity and implications of the theory. Researchers are exploring novel approaches to test and refine the theory, including experimental proposals and theoretical developments that seek to address some of the criticisms and challenges associated with the many worlds interpretation theory. Philosophically, the theory prompts ongoing discussions about the nature of reality, existence, and the meaning of probability. It challenges us to reconsider our assumptions about the universe and our place within it, inviting further exploration of the fundamental questions that underpin our understanding of reality. In conclusion, the many worlds interpretation theory has made a significant impact on both science and popular culture. Its influence extends beyond the realm of quantum mechanics, inspiring creative and intellectual explorations that challenge our perceptions of reality and existence. As research continues and new ideas emerge, the many worlds interpretation theory will remain a key area of inquiry, shaping our understanding of the universe and our place within it. Simulation hypothesis. Imagine a world where everything you see, touch, and experience is not the ultimate reality, but a sophisticated illusion created by an advanced civilization or artificial intelligence. This is the premise of the simulation hypothesis, a theory that has captivated thinkers, scientists, and the general public alike. At its core, the simulation hypothesis suggests that our reality might be an artificial construct, a simulation created by beings far more technologically advanced than we are. The roots of this idea can be traced back to philosophical traditions that question the nature of reality. In ancient times, philosophers like Plato proposed that the world we perceive is not the true reality, but a shadow of a higher, more perfect realm. Plato's allegory of the cave is a classic example, where prisoners, confined in a cave and only able to see shadows on the wall, believe those shadows to be the entirety of existence. The simulation hypothesis echoes this idea, suggesting that what we experience as reality could be a mere shadow of a deeper, more complex truth. In modern times, the simulation hypothesis has gained new traction, particularly in light of advancements in computer technology and virtual reality. As we develop increasingly sophisticated simulations and digital environments, the idea that our own reality could be a simulation seems less far-fetched. Today's video games and virtual worlds are becoming more immersive, blurring the lines between the virtual and the real. This has led some to speculate, if we can create lifelike simulations, what's to say that our reality isn't itself a simulation created by a far more advanced civilization? One of the most influential proponents of the simulation hypothesis is philosopher Nick Bostrom, who introduced a compelling argument in 2003. Bostrom's simulation argument doesn't claim outright that we are living in a simulation, but it presents a thought-provoking scenario. If a civilization reaches a point where it can create highly detailed simulations of reality, and if it has the capability to run numerous such simulations, then it is statistically likely that we are living in one of those simulations rather than in the base reality. Bostrom's argument hinges on the idea that a future civilization, possibly our own descendants, could create ancestor simulations. Simulations that replicate the history of their predecessors in exquisite detail. If these simulations are numerous, then the vast majority of beings with experiences like ours would be simulated rather than real. This leads to the unsettling conclusion that we might be among those simulated beings, existing within a world designed by others. This concept doesn't just raise questions about the nature of our reality. It also challenges our understanding of consciousness and identity. If we are living in a simulation, what does that mean for our sense of self, our memories, and our experiences? Are they real, or are they simply lines of code created by an unseen programmer? The simulation hypothesis invites us to question the very foundation of our existence, urging us to consider the possibility that everything we know might be part of a grand design beyond our comprehension. As we explore this hypothesis further, we'll delve into the key arguments that support the idea, as well as the philosophical and ethical implications of living in a simulated world. Whether or not you find the simulation hypothesis convincing, it's a theory that forces us to think deeply about the nature of reality and our place within it. As we continue to unravel the simulation hypothesis, we encounter a series of arguments that lend weight to the idea that our reality might indeed be a sophisticated simulation. One of the most influential contributions to this theory comes from philosopher Nick Bostrom, whose simulation argument presents a logical framework for considering this possibility. Bostrom's argument is built around three core propositions, one of which he argues must be true. The first proposition is that almost all civilizations at our level of technological development go extinct before they become capable of creating highly advanced simulations. This would mean that the ability to create realistic simulations is so difficult to achieve that nearly all civilizations fail before reaching that point. If this is true, then the likelihood that we are in a simulation is low, simply because the technology never reaches a stage where it can simulate entire worlds. The second proposition is that if civilizations do reach the point where they can create such simulations, they choose not to do so. This could be due to ethical considerations, resource limitations, or other reasons that lead advanced beings to refrain from creating simulated realities. If most civilizations decide not to run ancestor simulations, the chances of our reality being a simulation remain slim. The third proposition, however, is the most intriguing. If a civilization does develop the capability to create realistic simulations and chooses to do so, it is likely to create many such simulations. In this scenario, the number of simulated realities would far outnumber the one base reality. As a result, statistically speaking, it would be more likely that we are living in one of the many simulations rather than in the original, non-simulated reality. Bostrom himself does not assert which of these propositions is correct, but suggests that if the third proposition holds, it would mean that we are almost certainly living in a simulation. This line of reasoning has captivated many, leading to widespread debate and speculation about the nature of our existence. Another compelling argument supporting the simulation hypothesis comes from the idea of computational power. As computer technology continues to advance, our ability to create detailed and complex virtual environments improves dramatically. We have already seen the rise of virtual reality, augmented reality, and sophisticated video games that simulate lifelike experiences. With the exponential growth of computing power, it's conceivable that in the not-so-distant future, we could create simulations so realistic that the simulated beings within them would be indistinguishable from real, conscious entities. This raises the concept of ancestor simulations, simulations designed to replicate the lives and experiences of previous generations. Imagine a future where historians, scientists, or even curious individuals could create perfect simulations of their ancestors' lives, down to the smallest detail. These simulations wouldn't just mimic the physical environment, they would also replicate the thoughts, emotions, and consciousness of the simulated beings. If such technology becomes widespread, then the number of simulated worlds could vastly outnumber the original reality. Supporting this idea is the Fermi paradox, which questions why we have not yet encountered signs of extraterrestrial life despite the vastness of the universe. One possible answer, according to some proponents of the simulation hypothesis, is that advanced civilizations do exist but are more interested in creating and exploring simulations than in interacting with other life forms in the physical universe. This would explain the apparent silence of the cosmos. Perhaps we are living in a carefully controlled simulation where outside contact is not permitted, or where other civilizations exist only as part of the simulation itself. These arguments, while speculative, present a thought-provoking case for the simulation hypothesis. They suggest that as technology continues to advance, the line between simulated and non-simulated reality could become increasingly blurred. If we are indeed living in a simulation, the implications for our understanding of consciousness, identity, and existence are profound. As we delve deeper into this theory, we must also consider the philosophical and ethical implications of living in a simulated reality. What does it mean for our free will, our sense of morality, and the responsibilities of the creators of such a simulation? These are the questions we'll explore next. As we venture further into the simulation hypothesis, we begin to confront profound philosophical and ethical questions. If our reality is indeed a simulation, it challenges not only understanding of existence, but also the concepts of free will, morality, and the nature of consciousness itself. One of the most pressing philosophical questions is the nature of free will in a simulated reality. If we are living in a simulation, are our thoughts, decisions, and actions genuinely our own, or are they predetermined by the programming of the simulation? This question strikes at the heart of what it means to be a conscious being. In a traditional view of reality, free will is seen as a fundamental aspect of human experience, the ability to make choices independently. But in a simulated world, it's possible that what we perceive as free will might merely be an illusion, a complex series of pre-programmed responses to stimuli. This idea raises troubling questions about the authenticity of our experiences. If our choices are predetermined by a code, then what does that mean for our moral responsibility? Are we truly accountable for our actions? Or are we simply following a script written by some advanced civilization or AI? The ethical implications of this are significant, especially when we consider issues like justice, punishment, and reward. In a simulated reality, the concept of moral agency becomes deeply complex and potentially undermined. A critical question revolves around the creators of such a simulation. If we accept the possibility that our reality is a simulation, then who or what created it? Are the creators beings similar to us, perhaps future humans who have advanced far beyond our current technological capabilities? Or are they entities so different from us that we cannot even begin to understand their nature or their motives? The identity and intentions of these creators are crucial to understanding our place in the simulated world. One ethical consideration is the responsibility of the creators toward their simulated beings. If the beings within a simulation are conscious and capable of experiencing pain, joy, and suffering, then the creators would have significant moral obligations. Simulation hypothesis. Imagine a world where everything you see, touch, and experience is not the ultimate reality, but a sophisticated illusion created by an advanced civilization or artificial intelligence. This is the premise of the simulation hypothesis, a theory that has captivated thinkers, scientists, and the general public alike. At its core, the simulation hypothesis suggests that our reality might be an artificial construct, a simulation created by beings far more technologically advanced than we are. The roots of this idea can be traced back to philosophical traditions that question the nature of reality. In ancient times, philosophers like Plato proposed that the world we perceive is not the true reality, but a shadow of a higher, more perfect realm. Plato's allegory of the cave is a classic example, where prisoners, confined in a cave and only able to see shadows on the wall, believe those shadows to be the entirety of existence. The simulation hypothesis echoes this idea, suggesting that what we experience as reality could be a mere shadow of a deeper, more complex truth. In modern times, the simulation hypothesis has gained new traction, particularly in light of advancements in computer technology and virtual reality. As we develop increasingly sophisticated simulations and digital environments, the idea that our own reality could be a simulation seems less far-fetched. Today's video games and virtual worlds are becoming more immersive, blurring the lines between the virtual and the real. This has led some to speculate, if we can create lifelike simulations, what's to say that our reality isn't itself a simulation created by a far more advanced civilization? One of the most influential proponents of the simulation hypothesis is philosopher Nick Bostrom, who introduced a compelling argument in 2003. Bostrom's simulation argument doesn't claim outright that we are living in a simulation, but it presents a thought-provoking scenario. If a civilization reaches a point where it can create highly detailed simulations of reality, and if it has the capability to run numerous such simulations, then it is statistically likely that we are living in one of those simulations rather than in the base reality. Bostrom's argument hinges on the idea that a future civilization, possibly our own descendants, could create ancestor simulations, simulations that replicate the history of their predecessors in exquisite detail. If these simulations are numerous, then the vast majority of beings with experiences like ours would be simulated rather than real. This leads to the unsettling conclusion that we might be among those simulated beings, existing within a world designed by others. This concept doesn't just raise questions about the nature of our reality. It also challenges our understanding of consciousness and identity. If we are living in a simulation, what does that mean for our sense of self, our memories, and our experiences? Are they real, or are they simply lines of code created by an unseen programmer? The simulation hypothesis invites us to question the very foundation of our existence, urging us to consider the possibility that everything we know might be part of a grand design beyond our comprehension. As we explore this hypothesis further, we'll delve into the key arguments that support the idea, as well as the philosophical and ethical implications of living in a simulated world. Whether or not you find the simulation hypothesis convincing, it's a theory that forces us to think deeply about the nature of reality and our place within it. As we continue to unravel the simulation hypothesis, we encounter a series of arguments that lend weight to the idea that our reality might indeed be a sophisticated simulation. One of the most influential contributions to this theory comes from philosopher Nick Bostrom, whose simulation argument presents a logical framework for considering this possibility. Bostrom's argument is built around three core propositions, one of which he argues must be true. The first proposition is that almost all civilizations at our level of technological development go extinct before they become capable of creating highly advanced simulations. This would mean that the ability to create realistic simulations is so difficult to achieve that nearly all civilizations fail before reaching that point. If this is true, then the likelihood that we are in a simulation is low, simply because the technology never reaches a stage where it can simulate entire worlds. The second proposition is that if civilizations do reach the point where they can create such simulations, they choose not to do so. This could be due to ethical considerations, resource limitations, or other reasons that lead advanced beings to refrain from creating simulated realities. If most civilizations decide not to run ancestor simulations, the chances of our reality being a simulation remain slim. The third proposition, however, is the most intriguing. If a civilization does develop the capability to create realistic simulations and chooses to do so, it is likely to create many such simulations. In this scenario, the number of simulated realities would far outnumber the one base reality. As a result, statistically speaking, it would be more likely that we are living in one of the many simulations rather than in the original, non-simulated reality. Bostrom himself does not assert which of these propositions is correct, but suggests that if the third proposition holds, it would mean that we are almost certainly living in a simulation. This line of reasoning has captivated many, leading to widespread debate and speculation about the nature of our existence. Another compelling argument supporting the simulation hypothesis comes from the idea of computational power. As computer technology continues to advance, our ability to create detailed and complex virtual environments improves dramatically. We have already seen the rise of virtual reality, augmented reality, and sophisticated video games that simulate lifelike experiences. With the exponential growth of computing power, it's conceivable that in the not-so-distant future, we could create simulations so realistic that the simulated beings within them would be indistinguishable from real, conscious entities. This raises the concept of ancestor simulations, simulations designed to replicate the lives and experiences of previous generations. Imagine a future where historians, scientists, or even curious individuals could create perfect simulations of their ancestors' lives, down to the smallest detail. These simulations wouldn't just mimic the physical environment, they would also replicate the thoughts, emotions, and consciousness of the simulated beings. If such technology becomes widespread, then the number of simulated worlds could vastly outnumber the original reality. Supporting this idea is the Fermi paradox, which questions why we have not yet encountered signs of extraterrestrial life despite the vastness of the universe. One possible answer, according to some proponents of the simulation hypothesis, is that advanced civilizations do exist but are more interested in creating and exploring simulations than in interacting with other life forms in the physical universe. This would explain the apparent silence of the cosmos. Perhaps we are living in a carefully controlled simulation where outside contact is not permitted, or where other civilizations exist only as part of the simulation itself. These arguments, while speculative, present a thought-provoking case for the simulation hypothesis. They suggest that as technology continues to advance, the line between simulated and non-simulated reality could become increasingly blurred. If we are indeed living in a simulation, the implications for our understanding of consciousness, identity, and existence are profound. As we delve deeper into this theory, we must also consider the philosophical and ethical implications of living in a simulated reality. What does it mean for our free will, our sense of morality, and the responsibilities of the creators of such a simulation? These are the questions we'll explore next. As we venture further into the simulation hypothesis, we begin to confront profound philosophical and ethical questions. If our reality is indeed a simulation, it challenges not only our understanding of existence, but also the concepts of free will, morality, and the nature of consciousness itself. One of the most pressing philosophical questions is the nature of free will in a simulated reality. If we are living in a simulation, are our thoughts, decisions, and actions genuinely our own, or are they predetermined by the programming of the simulation? This question strikes at the heart of what it means to be a conscious being. In a traditional view of reality, free will is seen as a fundamental aspect of human experience, the ability to make choices independently. But in a simulated world, it's possible that what we perceive as free will might merely be an illusion, a complex series of pre-programmed responses to stimuli. This idea raises troubling questions about the authenticity of our experiences. If our choices are predetermined by a code, then what does that mean for our moral responsibility? Are we truly accountable for our actions, or are we simply following a script written by some advanced civilization or AI? The ethical implications of this are significant, especially when we consider issues like justice, punishment, and reward. In a simulated reality, the concept of moral agency becomes deeply complex and potentially undermined. Another critical question revolves around the creators of such a simulation. If we accept the possibility that our reality is a simulation, then who or what created it? Are the creators beings similar to us, perhaps future humans, who have advanced far beyond our current technological capabilities? Or are they entities so different from us that we cannot even begin to understand their nature or their motives? The identity and intentions of these creators are crucial to understanding our place in the simulated world. One ethical consideration is the responsibility of the creators toward their simulated beings. If the beings within a simulation are conscious and capable of experiencing pain, joy, and suffering, then the creators would have significant moral obligations. They would need to consider the welfare of their simulated worlds, much as we might consider the ethical treatment of animals or the environment. This brings up the question of whether simulated beings, if they are truly conscious, deserve rights and protections similar to those we grant to sentient beings in our reality. This scenario also touches on the question of purpose. Why would an advanced civilization create a simulation in the first place? One possibility is that they are conducting experiments or exploring different scenarios, much like scientists run simulations to study complex systems. Another possibility is that the simulation serves an entertainment purpose, much like our own video games or virtual reality experiences. If this is the case, then the meaning and value of our lives could be seen as contingent on the whims of these creators, which could be both humbling and unsettling. The simulation hypothesis also challenges our understanding of reality itself. If our universe is a simulation, then what lies beyond it? Is there a real world outside the simulation, one that follows entirely different rules and laws of physics? And if so, what is the relationship between our simulated reality and this outside world? These questions delve into the very nature of existence, blurring the lines between what is real and what is imagined. Moreover, the idea of a simulated reality invites us to reconsider spiritual and religious beliefs. Many religious traditions propose the existence of higher powers or creators who shape the world. The simulation hypothesis could be seen as a modern, technological interpretation of this idea, where the creators are not divine beings but highly advanced civilizations. This raises intriguing parallels between ancient spiritual beliefs and modern technological speculation, suggesting that our search for meaning and understanding is a constant, regardless of the framework in which it is placed. As we ponder these philosophical and ethical implications, it becomes clear that the simulation hypothesis is not just a scientific or technological theory. It's a profound challenge to our understanding of who we are and what our reality means. Whether or not the hypothesis is true, it forces us to think deeply about the nature of existence and our place within it. Next, we will explore the criticisms and counter-arguments to the simulation hypothesis, as well as its influence on culture and thought. As compelling as the simulation hypothesis may be, it is not without its critics and counter-arguments. The idea that our reality could be a sophisticated simulation raises numerous challenges, both philosophical and scientific, that have sparked intense debate among scholars and thinkers. One of the primary criticisms of the simulation hypothesis is rooted in the principle of Occam's razor, which suggests that the simplest explanation is usually the correct one. According to this principle, the hypothesis that we are living in a complex artificial simulation is far more convoluted than the idea that our reality is the original base reality. Critics argue that positing an entire level of reality beyond our own, with its own creators and motives, adds unnecessary complexity to our understanding of the universe. Instead, they suggest that it is more reasonable to assume that what we perceive as reality is in fact real. Another significant challenge to the simulation hypothesis comes from the problem of infinite regress. If our reality is a simulation created by a more advanced civilization, then what is the nature of that civilization's reality? Are they also living in a simulation created by an even more advanced civilization? This line of questioning can continue indefinitely, leading to an infinite chain of simulations within simulations. Critics argue that this infinite regress makes the simulation hypothesis difficult to sustain logically, as it raises more questions than it answers about the nature of reality. From a scientific perspective, there is also skepticism about the feasibility of creating a simulation as detailed and complex as our universe. The computational power required to simulate an entire universe down to the quantum level would be astronomical, far beyond the capabilities of any technology we can currently imagine. While proponents of the hypothesis argue that an advanced civilization might possess such technology, critics point out that this remains purely speculative. Without concrete evidence of such technological capabilities, the simulation hypothesis remains a tantalizing but unproven idea. Additionally, some scientists and philosophers challenge the assumption that consciousness can be simulated. While we can create increasingly sophisticated simulations of physical processes, replicating consciousness, a deeply subjective and qualitative experience, might be fundamentally different. The hard problem of consciousness, which questions how physical processes in the brain give rise to subjective experience, suggests that consciousness might not be something that can be reduced to a set of computational algorithms. If consciousness cannot be simulated, then the idea that we are living in a simulated reality becomes less plausible. Despite these criticisms, the simulation hypothesis has left a significant mark on popular culture, inspiring countless books, films, and television shows that explore the nature of reality and the possibility of living in a simulated world. One of the most famous examples is the 1999 film Asterisk, The Matrix Asterisk, which depicts a dystopian future where humans unknowingly live in a simulated reality created by intelligent machines. The film's portrayal of characters waking up to the true nature of their existence has resonated with audiences, making it a cultural touchstone for discussions about the simulation hypothesis. Beyond fiction, the simulation hypothesis has also influenced philosophical and scientific discourse, prompting scholars to rethink traditional notions of reality, consciousness, and the universe. Some have even suggested that the hypothesis could be tested scientifically. For instance, physicist Silas Bean and his colleagues proposed that certain anomalies in the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang, could reveal evidence of a simulated universe. While these ideas remain speculative, they highlight the growing interest in exploring the hypothesis from a scientific standpoint. Furthermore, the simulation hypothesis has sparked discussions about the ethical implications of creating simulated realities. If we were to develop the technology to create lifelike simulations, we would need to consider the moral responsibilities involved. Would the beings within these simulations have rights? Could we justify creating simulated worlds if the inhabitants are capable of suffering? These questions mirror the philosophical debates we've already explored and suggest that our own potential future as creators of simulations could force us to confront the ethical dilemmas we associate with the hypothesis. In the end, whether or not we are living in a simulation may be a question that remains unanswered. But the simulation hypothesis has undoubtedly expanded our thinking, challenging us to consider the possibility that reality is not as straightforward as it appears. It invites us to ponder the boundaries of technology, consciousness, and the very fabric of existence itself. Even if the hypothesis is ultimately disproven, the questions it raises will likely continue to intrigue and inspire for generations to come. Biocentrism is a revolutionary theory that challenges the traditional materialistic view of the universe. Proposed by Dr. Robert Lanza, a prominent American scientist and author, biocentrism posits that life and consciousness are not mere byproducts of the physical universe, but are instead the fundamental forces that create reality itself. This theory turns the conventional understanding of the universe on its head, suggesting that the universe exists because of life and consciousness rather than the other way around. The concept of biocentrism stems from Lanza's extensive work in the fields of biology and regenerative medicine. Throughout his career, Lanza has explored the mysteries of life, particularly the ways in which life processes seem to transcend the physical limitations of the material world. Biocentrism arose as a synthesis of his biological expertise and his deep interest in the nature of consciousness, leading to a theory that attempts to unify the two. At its core, biocentrism asserts that the universe cannot be fully understood without considering the role of life and consciousness. According to this theory, space and time are not absolute entities that exist independently of observers. Rather, they are constructs that arise as a result of the way living beings perceive and interact with the world. This idea is reminiscent of the philosophical notion that reality is a mental construct, a concept that has intrigued thinkers for centuries, but is now being re-examined in light of modern scientific discoveries. One of the key tenets of biocentrism is that consciousness is the driving force behind the universe's existence. In other words, the universe doesn't exist in a fully formed state out there, but is instead brought into existence by the act of observation. This challenges the traditional view of an objective reality that exists independently of whether or not it is observed. In the biocentric view, the act of observation collapses the wave function of possibilities into a specific, observable reality. Without an observer, there is no definitive reality, only a realm of potential outcomes. Biocentrism draws on principles from quantum mechanics to support this idea. Quantum mechanics, the branch of physics that deals with the behavior of particles on the smallest scales, has long suggested that observation plays a crucial role in determining the state of a system. Experiments such as the double-slit experiment have shown that particles behave differently depending on whether or not they are being observed, leading to the conclusion that consciousness somehow influences physical reality. Lanza takes this concept a step further by proposing that the consciousness is not just an influence, but the fundamental basis of reality itself. He argues that life creates the universe, rather than the universe creating life. This idea is radical and has sparked a considerable debate, particularly because it challenges the materialistic framework that has dominated science for centuries. If biocentrism is correct, it would mean that our understanding of the universe, from the smallest particles to the vastness of space, needs to be reevaluated in light of the primacy of life and consciousness. As we continue to explore biocentrism, we'll delve into the scientific underpinnings of the theory, examining how it interprets space, time, and the universe through the lens of consciousness. We'll also consider the philosophical implications of this theory, particularly how it reshapes our understanding of reality and our place within it. Building on the foundation, we now turn to the scientific aspects of biocentrism, exploring how this theory reinterprets space, time, and the universe through the lens of consciousness. Biocentrism challenges the traditional objective view of reality by proposing that space and time are not independent, absolute constructs but are instead products of our consciousness. One of the most provocative claims of biocentrism is that space and time are not the fixed, immutable dimensions we typically perceive them to be. Instead, they are constructs that exist only within the context of a conscious observer. According to biocentrism, the universe is like a blank canvas, and it is our consciousness that paints the picture, giving shape to space and time. Without life and consciousness, these dimensions would have no meaning, no substance. They are fundamentally tied to our perceptions. This idea aligns with certain interpretations of quantum mechanics, which suggest that reality is not as solid or as fixed as we might think. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in a state of probability, a superposition of all possible states, until they are observed. It is the act of observation that collapses these probabilities into a single, observable state. This phenomenon has been demonstrated in experiments such as the famous double-slit experiment, where particles behave differently depending on whether they are being observed. Biocentrism takes this concept further by arguing that the universe itself behaves in this way, not just on the quantum level, but across all scales. The theory suggests that just as particles require an observer to determine their state, the universe requires consciousness to give it structure and reality. In this view, the universe is not a vast, pre-existing expanse in which life happens to emerge. Rather, the universe comes into being through the interaction of consciousness with the potentiality of space and time. The relationship between consciousness and the physical world is central to biocentrism. According to the theory, consciousness does not arise from physical processes within the brain, as traditional neuroscience suggests. Instead, consciousness is the fundamental reality, and the physical world is a manifestation of this consciousness. This idea challenges the materialist notion that the brain produces consciousness, proposing instead that the brain acts as a receiver or a conduit for consciousness, much like a television set receives signals and translates them into images and sound. This shift in perspective has profound implications for how we understand the universe and our place within it. If consciousness is fundamental, then the physical world, including space and time, is secondary, a kind of stage set upon which the drama of life unfolds. This challenges the traditional scientific view, which holds that the universe is a vast, empty space governed by the laws of physics, within which life is a rare and incidental occurrence. Biocentrism also offers a new way to think about the origins of the universe. In the conventional Big Bang model, the universe began as a singularity, a point of infinite density and temperature, which expanded to form the cosmos we see today. However, biocentrism suggests that the universe did not begin in the traditional sense. Instead, it emerged in conjunction with consciousness. In this view, the universe is not a pre-existing entity that happened and then life appeared. Rather, the universe and consciousness co-arose, with each shaping and defining the other. Quantum mechanics plays a crucial role in supporting biocentrism's claims. The theory draws on the principle of quantum entanglement, where particles become linked and instantaneously affect each other regardless of distance, to suggest that consciousness is interconnected with the fabric of reality in ways that transcend traditional physical explanations. This interconnection implies that consciousness is not localized to individual organisms, but is a fundamental part of the universe's structure. As we continue to explore biocentrism, the next section will delve into the philosophical implications of this theory, particularly how it redefines concepts like life, death, and the nature of reality. We will also examine the challenges and criticisms that biocentrism faces from the scientific community. Biocentrism, with its bold assertion that life and consciousness are central to the existence of the universe, carries profound philosophical implications. This theory challenges the conventional understanding of reality, offering a perspective that places consciousness at the heart of all existence. It invites us to rethink the nature of life, death, and the universe itself. One of the most intriguing implications of biocentrism is its redefinition of life and death. In a traditional materialist view, death marks the end of consciousness. When the brain ceases to function, so does the mind. However, biocentrism suggests that consciousness is not confined to the physical body. Since consciousness is fundamental to the fabric of reality, it does not simply disappear when the body dies. Instead, consciousness could continue in some form, independent of the physical body. This idea aligns with certain spiritual and philosophical traditions that view consciousness as eternal, suggesting that life and death are not absolute states, but part of a continuous process. This perspective also challenges the way we perceive time. If consciousness is not bound by the physical brain, then time, as we experience it, might also be an illusion. In the biocentric view, time is not a linear progression from past to future, but a construct created by consciousness. This means that the past, present, and future might all exist simultaneously, with our perception of time being merely a way for consciousness to organize experiences. This concept resonates with the theory of relativity, where time is relative and can vary depending on the observer's perspective. Another significant philosophical implication of biocentrism is the idea that the universe is participatory. According to this theory, the universe does not exist as a fully formed entity independent of observers. Rather, it is shaped and brought into existence by the act of observation. This participatory aspect of the universe suggests that reality is not a static, objective truth, but is instead fluid and dynamic, influenced by the consciousness of the beings that perceive it. This challenges the traditional view of an objective reality that exists independently of life and consciousness. Biocentrism also prompts us to reconsider the nature of existence itself. If consciousness is the foundation of reality, then what we perceive as the physical world might be more like a virtual reality, an experience generated by consciousness rather than a fixed material structure. This idea has parallels with various philosophical and spiritual traditions, such as the concept of Maya in Hinduism, where the physical world is seen as an illusion. It also resonates with modern theories like the simulation hypothesis, which suggests that our reality could be a sophisticated simulation. However, biocentrism is not without its critics. One of the main challenges to this theory is its departure from the materialist framework that has been the foundation of scientific inquiry for centuries. Critics argue that biocentrism lacks empirical evidence and that it relies too heavily on philosophical speculation. They point out that while quantum mechanics does suggest a link between observation and reality, extending this to claim that consciousness creates the universe is a significant leap that has yet to be substantiated by scientific research. Another criticism is that biocentrism could be seen as anthropocentric, placing human consciousness at the center of the universe. While the theory posits that all life is central to the universe's existence, the focus on consciousness can be interpreted as elevating human experience above all else. Critics argue that this perspective might ignore the vast complexity of the universe and the possibility that life and consciousness, as we understand them, are just small parts of a much larger, incomprehensible reality. Despite these criticisms, biocentrism continues to intrigue and inspire those who are dissatisfied with the limitations of the materialist worldview. It offers a vision of the universe that is deeply interconnected, where life and consciousness are not mere accidents of evolution, but are fundamental to the very structure of reality. This perspective invites us to explore the universe not just as a collection of matter and energy, but as a living, conscious entity that we are intimately a part of. As we explore the cultural and ethical implications of biocentrism, we'll see how this theory influences our views on the environment, spirituality, and the meaning of life. Biocentrism challenges us to think deeply about our relationship with the universe and the role of consciousness in shaping reality. Biocentrism extends beyond scientific and philosophical realms, influencing our cultural, ethical, and spiritual perspectives. By placing life and consciousness at the center of existence, biocentrism offers a transformative way of understanding our relationship with the universe, nature, and each other. One of the most profound cultural impacts of biocentrism is its potential to reshape our views on the environment. Traditional materialist perspectives often view nature as a collection of resources to be exploited for human benefit. In contrast, biocentrism encourages a more holistic approach, where the natural world is seen as an integral part of a conscious, interconnected universe. This perspective suggests that every living being plays a crucial role in shaping reality, and that the well-being of the planet is directly linked to the well-being of all life forms. By recognizing the intrinsic value of all life, biocentrism promotes a more ethical and sustainable approach to environmental stewardship. This shift in perspective also has significant ethical implications. If life and consciousness are fundamental to the universe, then every form of life possesses an inherent value that demands respect and care. This challenges us to reconsider how we interact with other living beings, from animals to plants to entire ecosystems. Biocentrism suggests that harming the environment or other life forms is not just a moral failing, but a disruption of the very fabric of reality. This perspective encourages us to adopt more compassionate and responsible behaviors, recognizing our interconnectedness with all life. Biocentrism also resonates with many spiritual and religious traditions that emphasize the unity of all existence. By suggesting that consciousness is the foundation of reality, biocentrism aligns with concepts found in Eastern philosophies, such as the idea of the interconnectedness of all things in Buddhism, or the concept of Brahman in Hinduism, which views the universe as a manifestation of a singular, universal consciousness. These parallels offer a bridge between scientific and spiritual worldviews, suggesting that modern science and ancient wisdom might be converging on a deeper understanding of reality. In addition to its spiritual resonance, biocentrism challenges the notion of human exceptionalism. By proposing that all life is central to the universe, biocentrism implies that humans are not inherently superior to other forms of life. This challenges the anthropocentric view that has dominated much of Western thought, encouraging a more egalitarian approach to our relationship with other species and the planet. This perspective could inspire new ethical frameworks that prioritize the well-being of all life forms, rather than placing human interests above all else. Furthermore, biocentrism offers a new way of thinking about the meaning of life. In a materialist worldview, meaning is often seen as something humans create within an indifferent universe. However, biocentrism suggests that meaning is not an artificial construct but an inherent aspect of a conscious universe. This perspective offers a more optimistic view of existence, where life is not a random accident but a fundamental part of the universe's structure. This can provide a deeper sense of purpose and connection, as we recognize that our lives are integral to the ongoing creation of reality. The potential future directions of biocentrism are vast and varied. As more researchers and thinkers explore this theory, we might see new developments that further integrate biocentrism with other scientific and philosophical frameworks. For example, advancements in neuroscience could provide more insights into the relationship between consciousness and the physical world, lending empirical support to biocentric ideas. Similarly, as we develop a better understanding of quantum mechanics, we might uncover new evidence that reinforces the central role of consciousness in shaping reality. In the realm of technology, biocentrism could influence the development of artificial intelligence and virtual reality. If consciousness is indeed fundamental to the universe, then creating conscious machines or virtual environments could have profound ethical and philosophical implications. These technologies could allow us to explore new dimensions of consciousness and reality, further expanding our understanding of existence. As we continue to explore these ideas, it's clear that biocentrism offers a bold and transformative vision of the universe. By placing life and consciousness at the heart of reality, biocentrism challenges us to rethink our place in the cosmos and to adopt a more ethical, compassionate, and interconnected approach to life. Whether or not biocentrism ultimately proves to be correct, it provides a powerful framework for exploring the mysteries of existence and our role within it. Time is the illusion. The concept of time is deeply embedded in our everyday lives and scientific understanding. We measure it with clocks, schedule our activities around it, and experience life as a sequence of past, present, and future moments. However, the idea that time might be an illusion, a mere construct of the mind rather than a fundamental feature of reality, challenges our conventional perceptions and opens up a fascinating realm of inquiry. In everyday terms, time is experienced as a continuous flow from the past through the present and into the future. We live our lives according to this linear progression, marking events and planning for what is to come. This experiential framework of time is so integral to our lives that it feels almost instinctive. Our psychological and physiological processes are deeply tied to this perception, from the circadian rhythms regulating sleep to the way we remember past events and anticipate future ones. Yet, this intuitive understanding of time is questioned by various scientific and philosophical theories. The idea that time might be an illusion suggests that our perception of a flowing, linear progression may not reflect the true nature of reality. Instead, time could be a construct of our consciousness, designed to help us make sense of our experiences rather than an objective feature of the universe. In the realm of modern physics, the nature of time has been a subject of significant scrutiny and debate. Einstein's theory of relativity, for instance, revolutionized our understanding of time. According to relativity, time is not an absolute, unchanging entity, but is relative to the observer's frame of reference. Time can dilate, stretch, or contract, depending on factors such as velocity and gravity. This relativistic view challenges the classical notion of time as a constant backdrop against which events occur. Further exploration into the nature of time comes from quantum mechanics and theories of quantum gravity. Some interpretations of quantum theory suggest that time may not be fundamental, but emergent from more basic, timeless processes. For instance, in loop quantum gravity, time could emerge from the interactions of quantum fields, rather than being a fundamental aspect of reality. This idea proposes that time, as we experience it, might be a macroscopic phenomenon arising from underlying quantum processes. Philosophical perspectives. Philosophically, the notion of time as an illusion has been explored in various ways. Presentism, for example, argues that only the present moment is real, and that the past and future are constructs of the mind. According to this view, time does not flow or exist as an objective feature of reality, but is rather a mental framework that helps us organize our experiences. In contrast, the block universe theory, or eternalism, posits that past, present, and future events all coexist in a four-dimensional spacetime. This perspective maintains that time is a dimension much like space, where all moments exist simultaneously. While it does not suggest that time is an illusion, it challenges the dynamic, flowing experience of time that we intuitively perceive. Another influential philosophical view is that of Immanuel Kant, who argued that time and space are not external realities, but forms of human intuition. According to Kant, time is a framework imposed by our minds to structure our experiences, rather than an objective feature of the external world. The theory that time might be an illusion raises profound questions about the nature of reality and our place within it. If time is not a fundamental aspect of the universe but a construct of our consciousness, it invites us to reconsider how we understand reality and existence. This theory challenges our intuitive grasp of time and opens up new avenues for scientific and philosophical exploration. In the following parts of this script, we will delve deeper into the scientific and philosophical perspectives on time as an illusion, examining the implications for our understanding of reality and consciousness. We will explore how these ideas impact our view of the universe and our place within it, offering a fresh and provocative perspective on one of the most fundamental aspects of our experience. The idea that time might be an illusion is not merely a philosophical abstraction, but has significant implications in the field of theoretical physics. Modern physics, particularly through the theories of relativity and quantum mechanics, has provided insights that challenge our traditional understanding of time and suggest it might not be as fundamental as once thought. Einstein's theory of relativity fundamentally altered our conception of time. Prior to Einstein, time was often considered an absolute, unchanging entity, an independent dimension against which events occurred. Einstein's special relativity introduced the idea that time is relative and intertwined with space, forming a four-dimensional continuum known as spacetime. In special relativity, time is not experienced uniformly by all observers. The theory demonstrates that time can dilate or stretch, depending on the relative velocity of observers. This means that a clock moving at high speeds will tick more slowly compared to a stationary clock. This relativistic time dilation shows that our experience of time is dependent on our state of motion and not a universal constant. General relativity further expanded this view by incorporating gravity into the framework. According to general relativity, massive objects warp the fabric of spacetime, causing time to pass more slowly in stronger gravitational fields. This phenomenon, known as gravitational time dilation, has been confirmed through various experiments and observations, such as the precise measurement of time differences between atomic clocks placed at different altitudes. These findings illustrate that time is not a fixed backdrop, but a dynamic aspect of the universe that interacts with space and gravity. While relativity does not suggest that time is an illusion, it challenges the notion of time as an absolute, unchanging dimension, and shows that it is fundamentally linked to the structure of space-time. Quantum mechanics, the theory describing the behavior of particles at the smallest scales, provides additional insights into the nature of time. In quantum mechanics, time is often treated as a parameter that evolves along with the quantum state of a system. However, some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that time might not be a fundamental feature of reality, but an emergent property arising from more fundamental processes. One such approach is quantum gravity, which seeks to unify quantum mechanics with general relativity. Theories like loop quantum gravity propose that time, as we experience it, might emerge from a more fundamental, timeless framework. In these theories, Space-time is not continuous but made up of discrete units or quanta. The passage of time and the structure of space-time arise from the interactions and relationships of these fundamental units, suggesting that time might be a macroscopic phenomenon rather than a fundamental entity. Additionally, the idea of timelessness in certain quantum theories challenges our conventional understanding of time. For instance, the Wheeler-DeWitt equation, a key equation in quantum cosmology, does not include time as a variable. This equation suggests that the universe's state can be described without reference to time, implying that time might emerge from the quantum dynamics rather than being an intrinsic feature of reality. Theoretical physics challenges the traditional view of time as a constant and unchanging dimension. Through relativity, we see time as relative to the observer's frame of reference, influenced by velocity and gravity. Quantum mechanics and theories of quantum gravity further suggest that time might not be a fundamental aspect of the universe, but rather an emergent property, arising from deeper, timeless processes. These perspectives have profound implications for our understanding of the universe. If time is not fundamental but emerges from more basic interactions, it invites a reevaluation of how we perceive and measure time. It also suggests that our experience of time may be a construct of our consciousness rather than a reflection of the true nature of reality. The notion that time might be an illusion extends beyond the realms of theoretical physics and delves deeply into philosophical inquiry. Philosophers have long debated the nature of time, its reality, and its role in human experience. Various philosophical perspectives provide alternative views on time, challenging our intuitive understanding and suggesting that time may be more of a mental construct than a fundamental aspect of reality. Presentism is a philosophical theory that asserts only the present moment is real. According to presentism, the past and future do not exist in any tangible sense but are merely constructs of the mind. This perspective argues that time is not a continuous, flowing entity, but rather a mental framework we use to organize our experiences. In presentism, the past is remembered, but does not exist in any objective form, while the future is anticipated, but has no real existence until it becomes the present. This view challenges the traditional notion of time as a linear continuum, and suggests that our perception of time as flowing from past to future is a result of our cognitive processes, rather than an inherent feature of reality. Presentism provides a fresh perspective on time, emphasizing that our experience of time is shaped by our consciousness. This view aligns with the idea that time might be an illusion, an emergent property of our mental processes rather than a fundamental dimension of the universe. In contrast to presentism, the block universe theory, also known as eternalism, posits that all points in time, past, present, and future, exist simultaneously in a four-dimensional spacetime. According to this view, the universe can be conceptualized as a vast block where every event, from the beginning of time to its end, exists as a complete and unchanging entity. The block universe theory maintains that time is a dimension similar to space, and all moments in time are equally real. This perspective challenges our intuitive sense of time as a flowing, dynamic process and suggests that the experience of time as a continuous progression is a result of our conscious awareness moving through this fixed block of time. While the block universe theory does not claim that time is an illusion, it redefines our understanding of time, suggesting that our perception of time's flow is an artifact of our interaction with the block rather than a true feature of the universe. This view emphasizes that the past, present, and future coexist, and challenges the notion of time as a purely linear progression. Immanuel Kant's philosophy offers another significant perspective on time. Kant argued that time and space are not external realities, but forms of human intuition. According to Kant, time is a framework imposed by our minds to structure and interpret our experiences rather than an objective feature of the external world. In Kant's view, time is a necessary condition for human experience. It provides the structure within which we perceive events and phenomena. However, Kant contended that time itself does not exist independently of our perception. Instead, it is a mental construct that helps us make sense of the world. Kant's perspective aligns with the idea that time might be an illusion, or at least not an inherent aspect of the external world. By suggesting that time is a form imposed by our consciousness, Kant challenges the notion of time as an absolute and objective feature of reality. These philosophical perspectives offer diverse and thought-provoking insights into the nature of time. Presentism highlights the subjective nature of our experience of time, suggesting that time as we perceive it is a mental construct. The block universe theory challenges our intuitive sense of time's flow by presenting it as a static dimension where all moments coexist. Kant's view emphasizes that time is a framework imposed by the mind, rather than an external reality. These perspectives collectively contribute to the theory that time might be an illusion, encouraging us to question our conventional understanding of time and its role in our experience of reality. In the final part of this script, we will explore the implications of these theories for our understanding of consciousness and reality, providing a comprehensive view of how the concept of time as an illusion impacts our perception of the universe. The theory that time might be an illusion carries profound implications for our understanding of consciousness and our experience of reality. If time is not a fundamental aspect of the universe, but rather a construct of our mind, or an emergent property of deeper processes, it challenges how we perceive and interact with the world. This final part explores how the idea of time as an illusion impacts our understanding of consciousness and our lived experience. Consciousness is intrinsically linked to our perception of time. Our subjective experience of time passing influences how we process information, make decisions, and construct our sense of self. If time is indeed an illusion, it invites a re-evaluation of how consciousness functions and how we experience our own existence. From a cognitive perspective, if time is a mental construct rather than a fundamental feature of reality, our experience of time passing could be a result of how our brain organizes and interprets sensory information. This view aligns with presentism, which suggests that only the present moment is real, and that our experience of time as a flow from past to future is a cognitive framework. In this sense, consciousness might be seen as creating the illusion of a temporal flow to help us navigate and understand our experiences. The idea that time could be emergent from deeper, timeless processes, as suggested by quantum gravity theories, also impacts our understanding of consciousness. If time is not fundamental but arises from more basic interactions, consciousness itself might be influenced by these deeper processes. Our perception of time might be a reflection of these underlying quantum dynamics, which shape our awareness and experience. The concept of time as an illusion redefines our experience of reality. If time is not a fundamental dimension, but a construct of our consciousness or an emergent property, it challenges the way we understand the flow of events and the continuity of our experiences. Consider how we perceive events and memories. Our memories are structured around a temporal framework, where we recall past events, experience the present, and anticipate the future. If time is an illusion, this temporal framework might be a product of our cognitive processes rather than an accurate reflection of reality. This perspective suggests that our experience of continuity and sequence is a construct of our mind designed to help us make sense of our experiences. Furthermore, the idea of time as an illusion influences how we approach concepts like change and causality. If all moments in time coexist, as proposed by the block universe theory, our experience of change and causality might be a result of how we perceive and interact with the fixed block of time. This view challenges our intuitive understanding of cause and effect, suggesting that what we perceive as change could be a manifestation of our consciousness navigating through the block universe. The theory that time is an illusion has implications beyond individual experience, affecting both scientific inquiry and philosophical thought. In science, if time is not a fundamental aspect of reality, it encourages a re-examination of how we model and understand physical phenomena. It prompts scientists to explore alternative frameworks that do not rely on time as a fundamental variable, but instead consider emergent properties or timeless processes. In philosophy, the idea of time as an illusion invites a re-evaluation of existential and metaphysical questions. It challenges traditional notions of reality and existence, encouraging philosophers to explore new concepts and theories about the nature of the universe and our place within it. The theory that time might be an illusion provides a provocative and thought-provoking perspective on consciousness and reality. It challenges our conventional understanding of time as a linear, objective dimension, and invites us to reconsider how we experience and interpret our existence. By examining the impact of this theory on consciousness, human experience, and scientific and philosophical inquiry, we gain a deeper understanding of the nature of time and its role in shaping our perception of the world. As we explore these ideas, we are encouraged to question our intuitive grasp of time and consider new ways of understanding the universe. The theory of time as an illusion opens up exciting possibilities for further exploration and discovery, offering a fresh perspective on one of the most fundamental aspects of our reality.